Jesus Christ, okay, he ordered people to essentially, and some commentaries actually say, rape them, sexually assault them without their will, sorry to say.
You mentioned Jesus, peace be upon him, who we love and revere as one of the mightiest messengers sent.
Yes, we love and revere him. Yes, as we slander him completely. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is a little bit of an odd one since we're streaming to both my channel and to Hatun's channel. We are here with some guests that we will be bringing on here shortly. We will be reviewing Muhammad Hijab's video there that he decided to release and say some nice things about Jesus, according to him. Very respectful things. Very, very respectful things.
They love Jesus so much they can't even breathe a little bit to kind of take pause before they attack Jesus. That's the amount of the love they have for Jesus.
Now, looking at Muhammad Hijab's reactions to some of these videos, he's just waiting to say that, like whenever he bashed Churchill. He was just on the edge of a knife, ready to jump. Just get the, oh, yeah, he's a war criminal. He's a war criminal. It's like, okay, I just was watching you wait for that. So we are joined by Mary Harp.
Hello.
And my lovely wife, Elle Elohim.
Hello.
And of course, Hatun, who is on her own channel and will probably be asking me for permission to do things on her own channel again. But we will plug away.
But I am one of the loveliest person you will ever meet. I don't need to even verbalize that. I just wanted to say thank you very much to my audience who are where they are at. And thanks for having me, brother, as well.
Of course. So, just get a real quick tally on who has actually seen this video. I have already seen it. Hatun, have you seen it?
Yeah, when you sent it to me yesterday, I watched it, and then I was just like, yeah, this guy never learns.
Nope. So, Mary, have you seen it?
I have not seen it, but I am familiar with the argument, and it is the same quality as all of the dawah material, which means that toilet paper is much better.
Elle, it's your turn. Have you seen this?
Yes, I have. Regrettably, I am on one hand sad that it exists and is seeable, and on the other hand, think, well, it's exposing Islam for what it is, so be it.
But I do want to say something about criticizing him, about saying that it means that he doesn't revere Jesus, because why would any Muslim object to a prophet behaving in such a manner when their own favorite prophet was quite famous for behaving in this manner? So they would revere Jesus at the same level that they would revere their prophet. Now, I would not call this reverence, but in the Islamic mind, everything is like it's oppositeville, right? Whenever you say that there are no contradictions, actually there are lots of contradictions. When you say they respect women, they denigrate women. When you say that you revere a prophet, you talk about how disgusting and revolting and horrible he is. So I think for consistency's sake, he does revere Jesus just as much as he reveres his own filthy prophet.
Well, I think this is even worse than that because there's so many layers to this, and I'm sure we'll peel back the layers as we go. So let me go ahead and add the video here, and we will just go through his reaction here. So he was making a response to this gentleman here attacking him, according to his words.
So just for the clarification purposes, so title of the video is Patrick Bet David attacks Muhammad Hijab. So video is all about Mr. Muhammad Hijab, part-time stripper, is the victim, okay? That's the video. He's just going to defend himself. That's what you would assume from such a title. Poor guy.
Oh, and let's be honest, they never stop with that. So let's see.
This is Muhammad Hijab. I believe this is him.
What's he saying?
He's defending Muhammad is sex with children and calls pedophilia relative.
At all. We think that it's just because we have a different idea of what it means to be a child, which can be tracked historically. In these countries where we live in now, one is legal and one is illegal.
Is this guy trying to justify having sex with a 13-year-old girl? Is this what he's trying to do right now?
Adam, you have to listen to the end. Okay. He's not finished.
And once again, pedophilia is very relative.
Very relative. And
so what are you trying to do, Muhammad?
Yeah,
are you trying to change the age of consent?
Hold on. So is it not? Is pedophilia is legally relative as a matter of fact? That's not my opinion. That is a matter of fact. As I mentioned, if you go to Germany, the age of consent is 14 years old. If you go to the United Kingdom, the age of consent is 16 years old. If you go to the United States, in some places, the age of consent is 18 years old. In some other places in the EU, it's go back to 14. In Italy, in Spain, etc. There's 7 European countries, EU countries, which the age of consent is 14. I actually mentioned.
Now, I just want to point out, none of those was 9. Just the same. None of those ages that he gave were 9.
I guess it's not about the kind of number of how those numbers are higher than age of Aisha. It is Muhammad supposed to be the best example to humanity. He is the one who stands for all judgment. He's the judge that needs to be upheld to, and Muslims must follow him to the dot. That's the problem. When people decide to follow him, that brings problem. And also you've got this famous verse of Surah 65, and Muhammad Hijab's interpretation of Surah 65 is, yeah, you can even, like according to the Quran itself, you can even have sex with a baby who just born. So Quran doesn't kind of close any room for such a thing. So that makes it more stressful than what are the age of consent in different countries, first of all. Plus, there is nothing in Islamic tradition. There is nothing in Islamic tradition. I am willing to be corrected in this, that states that Aisha gave consent for sex.
Correct. It says that her silence, Muhammad said women should have to consent before marriage. But Aisha pointed out that she had never given consent. And he said, oh, well, then if she's a virgin, if she just doesn't say anything, that's consent. So a child who is being given away to a man for intercourse is going to be typically too frightened and overwhelmed to say anything. And that is to be considered consent. But more than that, in Islamic law, underage girls can be married against their will by their fathers. So if you go beyond just the Ahadith to Sharia, in every madhab of Sunni Islam and in Shia Islam, a father has the authority to marry his daughter off without her giving any kind of consent and even saying no. It does not matter. He has that authority. So when he talks about age of consent, well, Islam sort of has an age of consent, but what that means is below this age, the father has ultimate rights and can do anything he wants as long as the husband is considered socially suitable by Islamic standards.
So to finish my thoughts, there is nothing in Islamic tradition tells us that Aisha give consent. So there is nothing says, oh, Aisha, would you be okay to marry with Muhammad? And then she says yes or no, or she stays silent to that question because that question was never been asked to her. And also, yes, while Islamic tradition says, yeah, your father is giving permission for you to get married. You know, that is called today rape. Someone is giving a permission for someone else to have sex with you. That is called rape. Therefore, in UK, followers of this wonderful religion are causing these rape gangs in Britain. So, that I think, therefore, it is just very, very stupidness of Muhammad Hijab and the guy who is doing interview with him to simply say, oh yeah, age of consent is different from one place to other place. Therefore, it's okay. Therefore it's relative. That's just very disturbing.
I think he's trying to make the argument that since it's changed throughout history, then you can't really say that it's absolutely true. It's just all relative. The problem with that is, again, even if we look at throughout history, if you say the majority, a huge majority would be after the age of maturity. Which, as according to the sources, Muhammad didn't wait that long. In fact, he established that you could do it any.
But if you're looking, hello everyone, sorry, it's Sister K. But if you're looking at your prophet as the standard, you shouldn't be looking at Western culture, Eastern culture, whatever other culture. You should be looking at him saying, yep, he did it. I'm proud. I don't need to compare him to the other nations and what they did. But he's trying to make it acceptable because his prophet did it.
I think the argument he's trying to make is that, oh, Islam provides this unchanging standard, therefore is superior to things that could adapt to varying circumstances. The unchanging standard, the complete way of life. But in reality, there are many different fine details that disagree with each other in the standards, and it really doesn't matter whether or not the standard is equal. If the standard is horrible, if the standard is we chop the nose off of all of babies, and look at my culture, it's great because you don't have a rule about, in some cultures they chop the noses off of criminals, but here we have a uniform rule for everyone that we chop the nose off of all children. Like, that's the type of argument that he's making, that just because, even if it were true, which it's not, that Islam had a uniform rule, the uniform rule is abhorrent and horrific. So why are you bragging about it?
Well, let's listen to a little bit more and let Muhammad Hijab speak for himself and not speculate on what he might be saying, because I think you might be surprised it might be a lot worse than what you think. I'm sorry, I think you're giving way too much credit.
In the age 14, if they had a real problem with it, I don't see them protesting against the German laws. I don't see them protesting against the Spanish laws. I don't see them protesting against Italian laws. The point I'm saying is this, is that it's relative by virtue of fact, and it's not my opinion. That is a fact. If you're in England and you have intercourse with a 13-year-old, you're a pedophile, or 14-year-old, you're a pedophile. And if you go to America and you have intercourse with the same age, then you're not a pedophile. So it's relative.
I'm sorry. Did he just say that you could go to America and have sex with a 13-year-old kid and you would not be considered a pedophile? You'd be considered a pedophile. That doesn't. He's wrong.
Will that change if the person who is having sex with a child is a Muslim?
No. That
Actually, it depends. It depends on what country you're in. You might be
apparently in the UK, it's never a crime as long as you're a Muslim.
So yeah, I mean, that is, and again, this is just trying to obscure the truth, because it doesn't matter what it is in all the other places. Again, all the examples he's given us, again, is past the age of puberty, where Muhammad didn't wait to it. We can point to that pretty easily in the sources. But he's trying to cover it up, saying, "Oh, you see, it's just all a matter of opinion, the way you look at it." So, tap over. There we go.
Based on the arbitrary measures of policymakers in different parts of the world. That is a matter of fact. If they want to reprimand, they have to now come with an argument against. So is he trying to justify sex with children? Children, that's the whole question. That's the inquiry. What is a child? That is the question. He's poisoning the well. He is begging the question, which is a fallacy. It's called begging the question fallacy. I'm not saying that they're children. I don't believe in having sex with children. No, I don't believe in that. I've never said that once in my entire life.
You never said that once. Let's make that clear.
Of course, I've never said that once. And I think the low IQ, hot noodle.
Hatun, you seem to be holding back a comment here.
He will never
You're
say
laughing
such
pretty
a
hard at
thing.
their statement.
He will never say such a thing. Like, look at him. He just wants to advertise the Quran. Why would he say such a thing? Why would he stand in front of the Quran-only Muslim and then say, if you just take the Quran, this is what happens. You have sex with a kid who is not even like, who just born, who is just a baby. So he will never say that. So basic principle is when it comes to Muslim missionaries, their lips are moving, they are lying. That's the very basic principles. So he just thinks like, oh, everyone forgot that clip. Let me see if I've got the clip actually. He's just thinking, oh yeah, everyone forgot that clip where I told everyone, oh yeah, according to Quran, this is pedophile, this is what Quran teaches. So it doesn't matter whether he believe or not. I remember talking to Ali Dawah where his kind of besties, they don't have that much differences in views. He was saying, oh yeah, if my child is ready and is okay, like he would ask his child who is only 6, 7, 8, 9, then he would give his child for marriage. His child is ready for going and having sex with someone else. But now, well, apparently they never said such a thing. Let me see if I've got the clips of those things. But yeah, one of the advantage of internet as well as it is disadvantage, you say something and then it stays there forever. And that clip is still on internet. I need to figure out where it is, but it is still on internet.
All right, give me 30 seconds to check your email.
My email?
Yeah, give me just like 10 seconds to check your email.
The magic of Sister K at work, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, so that's called teamwork. It's disturbing.
I'm not your team. Don't you dare.
At least you okay. Hey, at least you're not a Demi, so.
Yeah. Okay, and it is sent.
I'm just like, it is disturbing, kind of, you just take the platform and then you lie. And even like before this, like he was just telling, oh yeah, like age of consent is okay, these things are, pedophilia is relative, all those kind of things. Like they just watched the clip which we watched. And then, oh no, I never advertised this, I never said this. It's just like, just wrong.
Well, that's loading up. Do you mind if I pull up a comment?
Sure.
So we see this comment that says, so he doesn't even agree with his own master, Muhammad. Yes.
Yep.
Either
Muhammad
way.
made a ruling and he disagrees with him.
So can you remind me what that means when he apostatizes by doing that?
It's not just Muhammad, it's Allah and Muhammad together. Teamwork.
He disagrees with both.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Takfir.
There we go.
So I'm just making it for people to see. So this is the clip, okay? One of the thing, as I said, sometimes it has very negative side of it. Sometimes it is very positive. So it looks like Sister K just went to Google, went to YouTube, and then wrote it, and then it turned up in a channel which I never knew it was exist. So it is all over YouTube. It is all over YouTube. Brother, you are okay for me to play it for a bit?
Oh, absolutely. Go for it. This is great.
Have sexual intercourse with a 5-year-old. The reason why it's haram to have sexual intercourse with a 5-year-old is not found in the Quran at all. If you just read the Quran, it is halal. It would be halal to have sexual intercourse with a 5-year-old. Chapter 65, verse 4. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us who you can divorce and who you cannot divorce. And then he says, وَاللَّائِ لَمْ يَحِدْنَ. وَاللَّائِ لَمْ يَحِدْنَ. And the ones who had never been pubescent before. And by the way, this is very important, yeah? I want all Muslims to be aware of this. The reason why we don't have sexual intercourse with 5-year-olds and 6-year-olds and 7-year-olds or whatever is not because of puberty. Wait a minute, what did you say? It's not because of puberty, because that verse in the Quran actually says lam yahid. They never had puberty before. You can't go around that. The Quran doesn't say anywhere in the Quran that the woman has to be pubescent. I dare you to find one verse in the Quran where it says you're not allowed to marry someone based on harm, or you're not allowed to have sexual intercourse based on harm, or you're not allowed to marry someone based on puberty. Get me one verse in the Quran which says the woman has to be pubescent. You know, in the Quran it says حُرِّمَتْ عَلَيْكُمْ أُمَّهَاتُكُمْ. It says you're not allowed to marry your mum. It says you're not allowed to marry your sister or your auntie. Where does it say you're not allowed to marry a prepubescent? I'm looking for one verse that you can say, you pinpoint it and say this is where it says prepubescent marriage or whatever is not allowed. So if you're Quran alone, you're steered towards pedophilia, and a severe type of pedophilia. Indication that.
So if you are Quran alone, what are you?
Well, an extreme case of pedophilia. That's
it's not only like normal case. It is not like general, extreme case. So, and he's saying, oh, well, you've got to be low IQ to just like watch those videos and come to this conclusion. What is he doing? He's saying, this is what is my religion is teaching in the Quran. This is what my God said it in the Quran.
Well, see if that is something he keeps to now. This is an interesting statement later on he makes. So let's go ahead and continue on here.
Eating, weirdo that was sitting there, that maybe he was, sorry to say, watching something, maybe that he shouldn't have been watching before, eating his pot noodles, eating his Krispy Kreme, watching what he shouldn't have been watching in his mother's cellar, had the audacity to speak in that manner and try and inquire in that way without humbling himself and asking questions and being a real man, which he cannot be, and he is not. Yeah, and the other ones there sitting like sitting ducks, low IQ, they don't realize that actually there was nothing in the speech of this man that suggested what this man is suggesting I'm saying. If he was in the United Kingdom, I would sue him for defamation of character. Now, the reason why I'm not doing that, because in the United States, it's much more difficult to do that, and it's much more costly, and he's not that significant anyway, this individual who looked like he was.
Yes, but you're willing to make a video and focus on him. I mean, does anyone else get sick of whenever Muhammad Hijab just goes off on these personal rants of attacks? I mean, you can tell when he's actually has nothing, because that's all he does is knee-jerk reaction. Personal attack. Yeah, he's upset, and that's where I think
he tries to sound intelligent when he does it, but he really is just a sniveling crybaby. Like, you literally are upset about somebody literally listening to your words and saying, whoa, and reacting to your words. And you said, as we see in the video, not only did you say that, you said Allah's words condones this. Allah's words alone condone this. He needed help from a bunch of other people to make sure he wasn't endorsing this, but we know better.
So to be clear, that would make Allah someone who has a severe case of pedophilia, right?
Exactly.
He's a child trafficker.
Whenever you're watching Muhammad Hijab, you can see where he starts getting upset. You're right, because he realizes he's got nothing. He's upset. He's insulted. And he goes on personal attacks. And then if those don't work, he doesn't get the reaction he wants. A lot of times he'll go to saying something extreme. Saying something he thinks he'll get shock and awe for. Hatun?
I would like to point out, actually, you just said something.
Shock and awe.
No.
I don't know. I just said a lot of things.
He's the one who is going after people. It's not like people are coming after him. He's going after people. He's putting people's private life all over internet and then kind of like bullying them, all that kind of things, because the way that's how he's defending Islam. Then he's playing this like victim card. Oh yeah, they are coming after me. They are low IQ. He's sitting in front of his telly, eating all those kind of things. Oh, I shouldn't even give him platform. I will sue him, but he's not here, so I'm not gonna sue him. I'll just like, I need to figure out a way so I can make money from him. That's what he's looking for.
Well, I think that's the same thing he did with Elon Musk last week. It's like, okay, yeah, look at me. Woe is me. Look, even the most popular people, they're all obsessed about me. No, they don't give a crap.
I want attention. What else I can do to get people's attention? That's how it is. It is very disturbing. It's just like, from our perspective, it makes us concerned for someone's mental being in such a situation, versus in the perspective of Muslims. Wow, he's so amazing. These people are mentioning him. Before all that, of course, he just went after them. I do have a clip of Ali Dawah where he's kind of expressing that he would allow his daughter to get married at age 9. Would you like me to play that one?
Absolutely, go for it.
That's a pedophile.
So let me just get Ali Dawah's scene here.
Sister K and
that number, no, you know in Islam, you ask me, would I go around my daughter to marry a 9-year-old? You know why not? You ask me, would I allow my daughter to get married at 9? I'm saying the analogy is wrong. Our teachers teach us women have to be sexually, mentally, and physically ready. That means if my daughter, if my daughter, hold on, let me finish. If my daughter reached the age of menstruation at 9 years old, I would say you are ready. You are ready to get married. However, it's when you're thinking of committing to emotion. If she says, Dad, I don't want to get married. All right, no, potentially not. Right now. Okay, she's 9 years old. If she says she's ready to get married, I will have to check that she's mentally ready. Sexually, physically, like she's not ready. Yes. No, I'm saying, hypothetically, it's all yes. Okay, if they're all yes, if she's mentally ready, and she's found somebody. And a 40-year-old coming. Oh, listen, I have to ask for permission. You got a 9-year-old. I took 10 years off to help him. You got a 9-year-old. No, let me watch it. If a 40-year-old.
Yeah, so you got the point. So he's gonna give his daughter into marriage when his daughter starts bleeding at age 9, because apparently that's the sign that she's ready for it.
Fair game.
Seems legit for a Muslim.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's being honest, at least, I guess. I'm trying to look at the bright side of things. It doesn't work so well. There's not a lot to grasp onto here.
There's no bright side of Islam. Sorry.
Go on, Sister K. Sorry.
No, you got it. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, like, I'm not sure if this is he's being honest. He's simply blindly following his prophet and putting the life of children in danger. Not only the life of children, but he's also putting the life of his own daughter in danger. Just, I find this disturbing. So.
Oh, absolutely. So we'll go back to the other one here. Keep that in mind. Remember, they're kind of like best mates. So they're on the same page with this.
I wouldn't use the best mates. I would use the phrase one flesh, but I'll let that go.
Yeah. I'm not keeping track of what's happening behind closed doors here. So Little Deer said hi to Mary and Sister K. Sister Mary and Sister K. Just to let you know.
I miss her.
Yeah, she said hi. She's over on TikTok right now which we're also streaming TikTok as well to YouTube and everywhere else.
So. Pastor, my love.
Well, she can hear you, so that works. So let's go ahead and see what else these guys have to say.
The shoe shiner for Patrick Bet-Davis. Maybe he was shining some shoes and stuff like that and cleaning in the toilets. And then they said, just come in for a second. We've run out of guests today. Come, just say it. Just sit here and just fiddle with the computer. Make yourself useful. And give us some coffees and teas as well and some Krispy Kremes. And you know how to make the pot noodles, so might as well make that one as well. So this guy who's a nobody, who's trying to challenge me, and Bet-Davis, we spoke to Bet-Davis, me and you, and we spoke. We had a good conversation. Never disrespected the man myself. I've only held him to account in the proper and meaningful way, where he has overcrossed the boundaries. Should have had the integrity, the intellectual integrity, to stop this.
He just went on a whole rant about this guy, personal attack after personal attack, and then turns around and says, I'm respectful.
This chump from saying the stuff that he was saying, but he didn't have that, and we don't expect that from them.
Let's go on to a couple more clips. Let's go to the next one.
And guys, and let's just go back, because Jesus Christ, you know what I'm saying? We're Christians, and you have to say what it is. Jesus Christ spread love, spread peace, spread all that type of stuff. Was he a virgin, Tom? Jesus Christ?
Yes.
Okay. He's treated women great. If we're going to go according to many Islamic historical sources, including the Hadith, collections of the Sahih al-Bukhari and Sahih Muslim, the Prophet Muhammad was betrothed to Asia when she was 6 years old, and the marriage was consummated when she was 9 years old. I'm just throwing out facts. This guy's name is Muhammad. That's what he's basically preaching, is that this is that type of mindset. And I mean,
okay. First of all, just real quick question, real quick comment. He's actually got his head screwed on right. At least the guy he's interrogating him over here, and actually has sources, which is impressive. So that's cool.
You can have sources.
We've read this and we've seen this, right?
All right. He brought up Jesus. He started off with.
I was thinking you can have sources, but as long as you are not Muslim, you are identified as the enemy of Islam. So those sources are just nothing. Therefore, Muhammad Hijab is saying, oh yeah, this guy is just like nobody. Nobody is just like trying to be somebody or something. Just
no. If you have the sources, Hatun, and you say, oh, this is so beautiful, I think I want to take my shahada, that's when they like you as a non-believer reading their sources.
Yeah, good point.
I think we lost Mary, but we will continue to trudge on through.
Jesus, we can have a lot to say here. What do you
here? The first thing I will say is that they believe that Jesus is the author of the Old Testament because he's part of the Trinity. Because don't forget, they believe that the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit are one God, and therefore it would follow that he's the author of the Old Testament. And it would also follow, therefore, that when Jesus, the part of the Trinity mentioned, the person of the Trinity mentioned in Numbers chapter 31:18, that take the young ones for yourself. And almost all rabbinic commentators said that young ones means prepubescence, actually. There is no such equivalent verse in the Quran. There's no such equivalent hadith in the Prophet's sayings. There is nothing in Islam that says you can take the young ones, the prepubescence for yourself. So according to them, Jesus Christ, okay,
pause for a second. Did we just watch a video from Muhammad Hijab who's saying if you just read the Quran, you would have an extreme case of pedophilia?
You guys are a bunch of Islamists.
Saying there's nothing. Yep. There's nothing in here.
Nothing.
Oh my gosh.
You guys are reading it wrong.
What gets better is that he says the rabbis say the young ones mean prepubescent girls. What he does not say is what the young ones say about for yourselves. Guess what they say? They don't say it means sex. Only perverted Muslims think that sex is in there. A Muslim reads this passage, and every time they're so filthy minded that they go, what else would you have a human female for in your household if you aren't having intercourse with her? Not one rabbi says that this is for intercourse with prepubescent girls. Rather, what they say is that these are girls who are brought in as young children who are innocent and are brought up in the households. Does not say, not even one rabbi says, that's because they want to have sex with them. Completely Islamic mindset. So this reveals exactly what Muslims think about everything, because that's what their religion is.
I would like to add a few things, if that's okay, your brother in Christ.
Absolutely.
So, Muhammad Hijab has been in dawah gangs scene for a long time. Very, very long time. He had debates and discussions with Christians. And it is such a heartbreaking fact to see, actually. He's got this giant brain which is frozen and doesn't work. So, neither Christian scripture teaches that Jesus is part of Trinity, or neither Christians should believe such a thing. Bible doesn't teach that Jesus is part of Trinity. God is identified as triune God, and Jesus is person in Godhead. When we talk about God, we are not talking about, oh, there are parts or pieces like this. That is just very intentionally he's misguiding and putting his Islamic teachings into God I worship. And that's I find that's very disturbing. He's being extra dishonest. That's first thing. Second thing is kind of echo of what Mary said. So when we get our attention to a letter in the Bible called Titus, okay, it is only 3 chapters, 2 pages, and Muslims, I never come across with a Muslim who read it, okay? So chapter 1, verse 15 states, to the pure, all things are pure. To those who are corrupted and do not believe, nothing is pure. So his heart and his mind is corrupted. Therefore, as he hears those verses from the Bible, I don't even believe first he kind of read it and then find it out. He heard it from someone. Therefore, he's putting his Islamic mindset, Muslim mindset into the biblical verse. And that is very dangerously creepy. When someone is reading the Bible in the eyes of Islam, whatever Bible says, they are going to justify that, what Muhammad taught. And that's very concerning. So therefore, when they read the Bible, they are saying, oh yeah, Jesus is ordering these non-believing girls for rape. That's not the verse itself says. So if that's okay, I'll just read the verse, brother. Is that okay?
Go. Yep. Absolutely.
Muslim apology is supposed to be starting from Numbers chapter 1, from verse 16. Okay. I read it from verse 15 because that's how the paragraph starts. Have you allowed all the women to live? He asked them. They were the ones who followed Balaam's advice, and they were the means of turning the Israelites away from the Lord in what happened at the Peor. So that the plague struck the Lord's people now. So this is the verse comes from what is Muslims are focusing. Now, verse 17. Kill all the boys and kill every woman who has slept with a man. But save for yourself every girl who has never slept with a man. All of you who have killed anyone or touched anyone who was killed must stay outside of the camp 7 days. And then it goes on. And then Muslims will bring up verse 35 and then say the number of those girls who has not slept with a man was 32,000. So Jesus is ordering rape of 32,000 virgins. That's kind of what Muslims are getting to, because they are reading that from the perspective of Surah 4. They are reading that from the perspectives of Muhammad's teaching. But Bible doesn't leave room such a thing. The reason Bible doesn't leave room such a thing, because it is telling us what needs to be done to these kids, these children, these virgins. Okay? They are virgins. Maybe they are having their period, but we know they have not slept with a man. Deuteronomy chapter 21 from verse 10. When you go to war against the enemies, and the Lord your God delivers them into your hands, and take captives. If you notice among the captives, beautiful woman, not the kids, not the children, who are attracted to her, and are attracted to her, you may take her as your wife. Bring her into your home. So you are taking those women as your wife. They are coming to your house as your wife. Okay? Bring her into your home and make her shave her head, trim her nails, put aside the clothes she was wearing when captured. And when she has lived in your house and mourned for her father and mother for a full month, then you may go to her and be her husband, and she shall be your wife. You are bringing those women from the war. You must look after them. You must take care of them. They are women. They are not kids. They are not girls. They are not children. They are women. They've been brought from the war. Your responsibility to take care of them. Your responsibility is to give them time for them to grieve. And when the bereavement is over, what do? You become their husband. They become your wife. Not you kind of just have sex with them and then throw them outside. Not the case. If you are not pleased with her, let her go wherever she wishes. You must not sell her or treat her as slave, since you have dishonored her. People had to follow such laws. And these laws doesn't give any place for, oh yeah, you bring those girls who are not even bleeding, rape them. No. That is intentionally misrepresenting the Christian scripture so that it can fit in his own agenda. But Bible doesn't leave room such a thing. And who Bible is talking to? God is talking to whom? To Moses. In this occasion, to the Midianites. For certain time, for certain people, for certain group. As scripture says, those whose hearts are pure, everything is pure to them. Those whose hearts are corrupted, nothing is pure to them. So Muhammad Hijab simply fits that category, and it is very much disturbing. Very much disturbing.
So before we continue, we have a quick question here from the live chat asking, they heard taking the young ones for yourselves was a command out of anger from Moses. Is there any validity to this? The answer is no. And I think just reading the passage itself in that context makes it clear, no, this was a provision for those who were innocent in this, not to be harmed by these actions.
But and I think it's important to understand the context, because those women, were they not sent to corrupt the men of Israel? With the ones that were sleeping with them to turn their hearts away from their God and so on and so forth. So those women who engaged in that behavior were put to death. Those women who opted out and did not partake in that behavior were kept alive, not for sexual slaves, as we see in Surah 424 and 2433. You don't see, and he's trying to drag the Bible down to the filth that's known as the Quran and the Hadith.
Yeah.
So another point is that what was normal in the ancient and even medieval world, whenever a city was taken or a group of people was destroyed in war, What was normal in all of human history was what Muslims do, minus raping tiny children, but enslaving a lot of people, killing a lot of people, and raping anyone that you want to rape and making them your slaves. The Bible stands alone in not allowing that to happen. You could not have a rape slave. They do not exist in the world of Judea. You can have a wife. She becomes a wife. She has a legal status of concubine, which means that if she's divorced, she doesn't get an extra payment, but she can never be sold again. And that is unique. And I am a big history buff, and I read lots and lots of sources. As far as I know, that is unique in the world, that you are not allowed to have rape slaves that you didn't sell on. That's not a thing. You can only marry women. And here also, what normally happened is right after a place was taken, immediately there's horrible rape, murder, things like that happening, like right out in the streets. You're not allowed to just have sex with a woman that was just taken in battle, which again, the norm across history, across thousands of cultures. God said no. Is this the most perfect law in the world? Well, what does the Bible have to say about that? If there was no fault with the old law, there would not be a new one. We have the new covenant, which is that was perfect in its time, but we can now reach perfection for all circumstances and all times with Christ, the law in our hearts, and the Holy Spirit.
Well, let's see what is going on. Let's see what Muhammad Hijab has to say about Christ himself. I'm going to give a little bit of rope, and they end up using that quite literally.
He ordered people to essentially, and some commentaries actually say, rape them, sexually assault them without their will. So sorry to say.
No, they don't.
So if you're saying you 1000% disagree with it, then can you please come online and tell us that you 1000% disagree with the Bible, and 1000% disagree with Jesus Christ, and 1000% disagree with Numbers chapter 31 verse 18, and 1000.
I will 1000% say that I disagree with your premise and your understanding of that verse. Yes, I'll say that, because man, are you off base on it. Now I'm getting an echo here from someone, but I'm not sure who. That being said, I'm not sure where to go with that, because he didn't only, I mean, seriously, he messed himself up seriously, because he's saying, well, the Old Testament is saying this. Now, remind me, because Numbers is part of the Torah, who is the author in Islam of the Torah?
Allah wrote it.
Yep.
Allah wrote it.
Allegedly.
So if, according to him, Allah wrote what he just read and signed off on what he was just referring to. So if he's interpreting it that way, then Allah just did that. And not only that, Moses is contributed with writing that. So he's also throwing Moses under the bus. So he's literally throwing Allah under the bus. He's throwing Moses under the bus. He's throwing Jesus under the bus.
Muhammad,
they claim this is respect.
Because
it's, I mean, they're just.
I mean, because the Quran came to confirm which was already, sent down prior to it. So, me.
Have you not? Has anyone noticed that the sources he gave? Did you all get who says it in which page, which book? Did you all get that? No, because he didn't even bother to give any source. Nope. He knows. Nope. He knows Christian scripture alone has the supreme authority over everything. Man without sources. It's very, very disturbing. Very, very disturbing. And the way he's forcing his views into scripture is very disturbing. You expressed your brother in Christ that you are 1000% against what he's saying. I don't even know what is 1000%. I don't even know if that is even possible, but I'm learning there are lots of things are not possible, suddenly possible in Islam. Just very, like, I don't know how stupid you need to be, but I guess in Islam, all you need is a mouth and then mic, just you show to the world how stupid you are.
And this,
Oh, yeah.
this happens quite a bit with him, just running his mouth, and he ends up, I can say the shocking thing. It sounds like a good idea in my head. Let me go ahead and say it, and doesn't realize what he's actually saying. He doesn't realize that he just referred to, according to his own theology, referred to Allah being the author of this, and Allah has done this horrendous act according to him. So Allah is the one who commanded it then, according to him.
Yeah, and
So-
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, from Islamic perspective, yeah, Allah did all these kind of things, but there is something Sister K said. I think for the brothers and sisters, that was very important point. Please do not miss it. So Sister K expressed how the verse by itself, it simply shows God's kindness and God's mercy. She pointed out that that judgment is done for the sins for those who deserve it. God is the one creator. He's the creator. He's the judging the people for the sins they have done. And God is sparing those girls or those women who have not slept with anyone because they have not committed a sin. That's God's kindness and God's judgment. It's like, that's very, very, very important to kind of think about it. And I think it was Sister K again expressed how Midianites were intentionally hunting down Israeli Jewish people and then making them to not only commit sexual sin, but also taking them away intentionally from the God they worship. So God is stepping in and judging his creation and showing mercy and kindness to ones who have not committed sin yet. But Muslim mind is just so corrupted, therefore they will look into the scripture, and then when someone says, oh yeah, take that to yourself, that means like, oh yeah, take that person to home and then just continue to rape. That's the mindset of Muslims because that's what they learn from their prophet.
That's what it comes down to. I mean, that's what Muhammad did. If you had an orphan girl that you had feelings for and you didn't feel that you could justly take care of her, you were to marry her, right? So of course that's the mindset they're coming from. They're coming from those your right hands possess, you can have your way with. Those sort of concepts are built into Islam, and because of that, that's what he's seeing, and that's what he's putting on the Bible when it's a completely different God.
And why is it built into Islam? Because that's what the pagans were already doing. It's a pagan religion. It just throws some stuff into paganism and even corrupts it further because the pagans didn't have intercourse with children. That was Muhammad's invention.
Oh, man. Yep. Let's go ahead and continue, see what else they have to say on this.
1000% disagree with the injunctions given therein. I can 1000% guarantee that this chump will not do that because he does not have the intellectual prowess or the integrity. He's not integrous enough to be able to face his own contradictions. And in fact, his argument has collapsed under the weight of the internal contradictions therein. So I would say to you,
you could say the same thing about Muhammad Hijab's arguments here. Because all it takes is 5 seconds of actually reading to see the context. But he didn't.
That the first thing, if you wanted to mention Jesus, is to mention what I've just mentioned. And especially this verse of Numbers chapter 31:18. You can go and look into, there is a website called Sephardim.com, which shows you all of the commentaries of the Old Testament, especially the rabbinic commentaries, using the Hebrew language aforetime about this, the Talmudic commentaries, the Babylonian Talmud, the Palestinian Talmud, about this particular verse, and it's pretty clear. And even some translations into English talk about young girls. It's pretty clear if you look at the sources. This is talking about the prepubescent ones. So the right-wing people and this man and other people that want to accuse the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ of such and such and this and that, you have to first deal with this inquiry before you start speaking about Islam. And then now, we've already addressed this, but then I'll address it again. He started mentioning about Aisha, at the age of 9, etc., etc. And the response.
Well, first of all, before continuing,
yeah,
go ahead. Yeah,
I was going to ask if you can pause before he moves to Aisha. Okay, so you can be so generous and double stupid and then say, okay, I'm going to give that to him. Those are talking about the girls who are not bleeding yet. Okay? Just like be double stupid and generous. But what the scripture says, what do they need to do to these kids, according to him? Oh, he don't know. Why? Because he never bothered to read Deuteronomy chapter 21. He never bothered to read the Deuteronomy chapter 21. You've got to look after the woman who you took it from the war. You take care of them, you provide for them, and they become your wife and your husband. You become wife and husband after their grievance process is finished. And when, okay, we don't want one another, you cannot sell her. They are not a thing. But he wouldn't mention that, even like you've been so stupidly generous and then allowed him to lie and get away with those kind of things. Still, he has to deal with the other part of the scripture. What needs to be done to those women who have not slept with anyone? I know people who are not married. They long years back, they start having their periods and they have not slept with a man. So, because you have not slept with a man, that doesn't mean you have not bleed yet. But in Muslim mind, the moment you start bleeding, yeah, you've got to have sex with someone else. Like those are very, very dangerous. Like Muhammad Hijab simply putting every woman and every kid in Britain and around the world in danger. This gentleman needs to be in prison for a long time. But he will play victim card. He wouldn't even be able to do that.
But also, in contrast to that, is it okay if I read Surah 24:33?
Absolutely.
Okay, it says, and let those who find not the financial means for marriage keep themselves chaste until Allah enriches them of his bounty. And such of your slaves as seek a writing of emancipation, this is in parentheses, give them such writings if you find that there is good and honesty in them, and give them something yourselves out of the wealth of Allah which he has bestowed upon you, and force not your maids to prostitution if they desire chastity, in order that you may make a gain in the perishable goods of this worldly life. But if anyone compels them to prostitution, then after such compulsion, Allah is oft forgiving, most merciful to those. Well, I'm not going to read the rest. It says most merciful because the parentheses is trying to say to the women. But yeah.
Well, if you look at the commentary on that one, not only does that say, don't prostitute women against their will, but do it if they're okay with it, because it doesn't say anything about willing women. Not a word. But if you go to the commentaries, those parentheses, no, every commentary says that Allah is merciful to the men, men, if they prostitute women against their will.
Yep. And that's what I was going to address, was that, as well as the fact that these are women that, quote unquote, you own, and they're seen as products to be sold. And I said, well, you don't sell them, but if you force them to, God will, their God will forgive you. But you're using, again, scripture that says if you've seen someone that you love or you want to marry, you give them time to grieve, and then you can never sell her as a slave. This allows, like you under Islam, under Sharia law, you are a product to be sold, exchanged like Pokemon cards.
Well,
So
it's only
don't
because Allah loves men better than he does women. Come on.
That's what it comes down to, very plainly. Now we have a question here. Well, more of a statement or a question for Mojab himself. If, like he's saying, prepubescent girls are not allowed to be married off, why are there Islamic majority countries that allow it? So thank you for the super chat, and that is a great question. But he's not going to answer it because he doesn't actually want to think that far through.
He's saying, according to Islam, it's allowed. That's what he's saying. So if he's making a case it is not allowed, then yeah, you can ask the question. But he's stating that it is allowed.
I appreciate Yasser Qadi's response of no need to lie about Aisha's age. Be honest. Just go with it. And what he's doing is he's like, well, they did it. No, you're not. You're pointing at societies that were not. This was not a calling down by God to do. Like you don't see them saying, oh, you have to do this and follow after this suit for the rest of your lives. So he's embarrassed. And honestly, and this is just my theory, everyone, I actually said this in some group chat somewhere, that because of I don't know we're familiar with it, because of the Wes Huff interview of him getting platformed by such large platforms, I said $1 to donuts, Muhammad Hijab was going to try to get on basically Joe Rogan. I figured Joe Rogan, but he corrected me. He went to Valuetainment, probably trying to reach out with them to be platformed by them, trying to get his numbers up too, because we know he loves to have exquisite trips and money and stuff like that. So this would help his platform. But because it didn't work out this way, he's trying to turn around and just burn bridges, because people look up who they interview. They see what their material is. And I think I'm just theorizing. That's potentially how that came about, him trying to be platformed by them and them looking him up and like, oh, we can't platform this guy. He's a pedo pusher.
Yeah, so now he's got to go out and try to play it down.
Yep.
Or if there's anything that's going to come out about him, he'll just play it as Elon Musk must have made this whole thing up.
Oh yeah, guys, I got a message, a threatening message from the ghost of Abraham Lincoln today, but we'll talk about that later. It's valid.
It sounds very convicting and very legitimate.
So this is as follows. As we both mentioned, and quite rightly so, me and you and the rest of the Muslim people and the majority of the populations, especially in the West, do not condone or are asking for a change in the age of consent, whether in the UK, in the US, in the EU, or even in the Muslim countries. We have no such desire. There's not been one protest movement, one lobby group. By the way, I'm not sure if you know this, in the UK, there
no protest movement. No, nothing like that. No rape games going on here. No, nothing like that.
No, just a guy we put in prison for exposing those things.
But why would someone wants to bring the change the age of consent, even though there is no consent in Islam in this situation? But like, why would? In Iraq, what is the age of consent now?
They fought it, but it's still, they're not going to enforce it.
In Yemen,
it's on the
books. Why? How come Muslims don't even bother to stand up for their Muslim sisters around the world? He's just saying, oh yeah, we don't care about it. This is this law. We just adopt the law. That's a lie. That's a lie, because it is convenient for them to climb top of a child and use those kids for their sexual desire.
But wait a minute. there is a surah named after a woman. Islam honors women, Hatun.
Yeah, there is a surah named Jinn. There's a surah named Cow. Yeah, Islam is all about animals, all that kind of things.
Yeah.
But the point is, they are not even bothering. They are not even bothering to be the voice for those who cannot speak. Iraq, like kids are being married off age 9. I met with girls in Middle East who were in hospital because they were married in very early age. They just start bleeding. They were in hospital. Why doesn't he want to speak up for them? Oh, it doesn't fit in his agenda. It doesn't help him to make money.
No, we rather speak about Elon Musk and about how he's just being attacked by everyone out there.
There's also nothing wrong with that in Islam. There are provisions in Sharia for what you do when you happen to rip apart a girl because she was younger and more vulnerable than you thought, because it's more important that men are satisfied. Because again, Islam values men so much more than women that Muhammad said that if he were to order anyone to bow to anyone, because that's a sign of worship in Islam, that he would have ordered women to bow to their men. And there's another hadith that's considered to be not good, but still it says that if a woman were to cut off her breasts and give them to her husband, she still would not begin to pay back for the fact that he gives her food, basically, is the meaning of that.
Very, very beautiful verses in Islam. Very beautiful teachings. Mm-hmm.
It was, in fact, an organization called PIE, which is linked to the Labour Party, which is the party that is in charge now of government, that was officially politically lobbying for the reduction of the age of consent. Yeah. So the only people that actually have that history are the very people that are in power in these countries. We don't have such a wish or desire to change the age of consent. Having said that, when we make the apologia, for example, for the argument, the polemical argument, that's what we're doing. We're making a historical argument for the age of Aisha at 9-year-old. And by the way, if we really wanted to say this, we could, that someone could say, is it possible, the question is, to be a Muslim and believe in the revisionist account of her being 18, for example? It's possible. It's not an article of faith. There's no takfir or excommunication issued therein.
That's a lie.
Believing that.
I know. Hey, this whole thing has been just open lie after lie.
First of all, there have been
to believe.
Yeah. First of all, there have been Islamic riots in Islamic nations whenever minimum ages of consent for marriage have been imposed. There have been riots because it's un-Islamic. So do not tell me that if you did not have power, like right now, you just ignore it. You just ignore it and have sex with children anyway. So why would you care? Because you're above the law. Whenever you have the control over the law, you absolutely will change it. You just don't bother to until you have full control over it. But secondly, absolute nonsense that he is saying, because if you deny anything that is the consensus of the scholars, that constitutes apostasy. It is the consensus of the scholars that on the basis of Aisha's extremely young age, you can have intercourse with little girls. So yes, you are against the consensus and you are outside of Islam.
Can I pull up a quote from Reliance of the Traveler real quick?
Sure.
Yes.
So, just as the context to why I'm doing this, it's because Muhammad Hijab is complaining, no one has ever tried to change UK laws. Well, okay, why would you need to change UK laws about one thing when you're trying to change UK laws to Sharia law? And if you do change UK laws to Sharia law, and even if you don't legally, it doesn't matter if you have Sharia law cities, essentially. or police that just lets you have Sharia law, even if it's not the real law. So here's what Sharia law says on this. And it might not seem apparent at first, but hopefully you guys will understand the importance of this. This starts off saying, a husband who accuses his wife of adultery is disciplined by the magistrate and not allowed to imprecate against her when adultery is already legally established, whether by her own admission or by proof, meaning that 4 upright witnesses have looked at her when she was copulating and seen an adulterer's bleep in her bleep, or when adultery is impossible, such as when the person accused is a mere infant. So again, what is this saying? This is saying if you accuse her of adultery, then you're not allowed a husband is disciplined when he accuses his wife of adultery when, and it lists several instances, when the person accused is a mere infant, is one of the instances in which the husband is disciplined for claiming this. What does that mean? She's capable of being your wife when she's an infant, and she's capable of having it not just arranged, but actually acted upon, to the point where people clearly have claimed that others have acted upon it with their own wife as well.
And there are clarifications to this passage that say that the issue is not that she would not have intercourse, but rather that she is so young as your wife with whom you are having intercourse that she does not possibly have sexual desire. And so if someone else acted upon her, then it is taken for granted that it is without her consent. So this is saying that whenever your 3-year-old wife, whom you have been copulating with, has copulated with someone else, you are not allowed to accuse her of adultery, because it is transparent that a 3-year-old does not have sexual desire, and so she must be innocent of that charge, and that happened to her against her will. That is the context.
Mary, are you able to remind me what a 3-year-old would be considered? Because when I read Reliance of the Traveler, I read the word infant. And
let me check.
Right?
I would say 1.5-year-old then, because infant is if the word is infant, it probably in the Arabic means one who is not yet weaned, which the official age of weaning is 2 years old in Islamic law. So I should say your 18-month-old wife with whom you have been having intercourse has had intercourse with someone else. You cannot accuse her of adultery because she is so tiny and so young that it cannot have been initiated by her.
So the Dizzle has decided to join.
Oh gosh.
The Dizzle decided nothing.
Well, let's click on the link.
No, we've got we've got a kid with strep here, and we're trying to make sure the entire rest of the house doesn't get it. So that's what's going on today. He just got diagnosed today. So anyway, we're scrambling around. Yeah,
that's a chore. That's not a good situation. Poor kid. So, have you seen this video yet?
I saw that the video exists, but I have not seen the video.
So, give you a
bunch
quick
of clackers.
20-second summary clip right here of what he is claiming.
Jesus Christ, okay, he ordered people to essentially, and some commentaries actually say, rape them, sexually assault them without their will, sorry to say.
You mentioned Jesus, peace be upon him, who we love and revere, as one of the mightiest messengers sent.
All based off of numbers. So that is where he's at.
Oh, Numbers 31?
Yeah.
Yep.
You guys notice that it doesn't say one word there about raping or sex or anything with the you guys. I'm assuming that's what's interesting. By the way, these guys have no concept of taking someone or winning a war, or taking captives or anything without running in and raping them. So that's their mind, right? That's their mind. That's oh, you're the girls were not part of Balaam's. The women were part of Balaam's plot. The girls weren't. So we're going to let the girls live. Therefore, according to Hijab, you must be gang raping them or something like that, like these guys do in Rotherham.
And what's funny is that he doesn't even know that Sepharia is strictly a Jewish source. He lies about what it says, by the way. Sepharia does not have people having intercourse with the girls underage as little girls in that passage. It does not exist. There's no rabbinical commentary that says that. But he's like, the commentaries, which are about the Hebrew, which are mostly rabbis. It's like, no, it's all Jewish. And none of them say that. Like, I mean, even the Jews don't say. No one says this except for Muslims.
And especially, look what he just did there. He said, Christians believe this. Christians believe this is Jesus. And in some commentaries, as if it's a commentary, it's like a Christian commentary that says, yes, and that's when Jesus ordered us to go and rape these girls. What a dope. The odd part there, of course, is so here's I'm assuming you guys have talked about this already, but here's the insane part of this, right? You have the passage in Numbers. And not one word there about rape, sex, anything else. When Hijab says, no, there are reliable, let's say there are reliable sources that say this is rape. And they believe Jesus revealed this. Okay, who revealed that according to Islam? That would be Allah, right? So according to Muhammad, here's what you would say. If Muhammad Hijab believes that passage is about sex and rape, okay, that's his belief. In Islam, it's Allah who revealed that. Muhammad told the Jews to bring out a copy of the Torah, and when they brought out a copy of the Torah, he said, I believe in you and in the one who revealed you. So he believes in the Torah. He does not believe in the concept of corrupting the Torah. So Numbers is in the Torah. Always has been. And so, according to Muhammad Hijab, that passage is about raping girls. And not only that, according to his religion, Allah revealed that. So he has to believe that Allah ordered Muslims to rape little tiny girls. We as Christians, we wouldn't believe in any sort of commentary that says that. And we don't see that. We don't see what he sees in the passage. So anyway, weird guy, but he gets away. You can get away with this if you're talking to Eddie from the Dean Show. This guy will go along with anything.
Yeah, Eddie. I was gonna say look at his co-host. He's just eating it up. Like yeah. He's laughing at all the jokes that aren't funny. And again, like I said, David, this is my theory. I theorize that he reached out to Valuetainment, trying to expand his platform because Wes Huff was on there and he's, making waves. And I think he reached out to them and they kind of looked him up and was like, this guy says what? Because he watches them review his footage of him okaying pedophilia.
Yeah. So this is recent, right? This one?
Yeah. This was a couple of days ago.
And I'm saying that because it was like a year or two ago. He was asked to go on the PBD podcast, and then he started. Him and Ali Dawah started posting videos. You're trying to set us up, and we will destroy you. We will destroy you. And they're something along those lines. But it was pretty embarrassing thug tactics. The dude has one method. No, he has two methods. He has two methods of dealing with anyone. If you do what he wants, he showers you with praise and so you're a good one. Yes, you're a great one. Yes. Whoa, what a great person you are. And if you don't do what he wants, he showers you with insults and abuse and threats and everything else. And that's why he's perfect. That's why he's a perfect representative of Islam.
And we've observed all of that within this video, including, you pointed out, he threw Allah under the bus. He threw Jesus under the bus. He also threw Moses under the bus because that's who would have received.
but we respect Moses. But we respect Moses.
We love Jesus.
Even though we say he was a pedophile, like our prophet.
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy that just like in order to defend one pedophile that they worship, they have to accuse everyone else of being pedophiles. Like, oh well, our prophet a pedophile. What should we do? I know. We'll say everyone else was a pedophile. Moses was a pedophile. All his followers were pedophiles. Isaac was a pedophile. Joseph was a pedophile with Mary. Everyone's a pedophile. Everyone's a pedophile. All to defend one pedophile. But they respect all these people, meanwhile calling them the worst possible thing you can call someone, a pedophile.
And notice how many of us on this panel all came to the same conclusion. We all were able to connect the very simple dots that according to Allah, he revealed the Torah. And according to Muhammad, this is what Allah said. Yet Muhammad didn't connect the dots? Like, there's a very serious concern here.
Isn't he an alleged scholar of some sort? Like, he thinks because he tries to use large words that he's trying to impress people, that he's more intelligent. This person, he's a shoe shine person. He's beneath me. He gets Krispy Kreme donuts. You're the only person that looks like you've been sucking down some Krispy Kreme donuts, Mimi.
He also has most of his degrees are like these supplemental night class, 12 months credit for lifetime activities, B, C rated tier stuff. He's like, oh, it's Harvard. Yeah, but it's Harvard's semi-scammy, money-grubbing degrees. It's not a real degree where he went to university for that amount of time and took that number of courses.
Hey, you guys are making fun of him, but you can't, because look, he's got those double Zabibas coming in.
Yep.
He's got the twin Zabibas, right? See, if your forehead sticks out most in the middle, then you get your Zabiba. If anyone's watching, you don't know what a Zabiba is. That's the mark that Muslims get on their head. Most Muslims who get one, they get it while they're praying. They bang their head on the floor while praying, and this is a way for them to walk around and say, look how holy I am. Look at the praying. So they like bang their heads on the floor, and then they get a big brown stain on their forehead. But if the middle of your head is kind of sunken in a little bit, then you get two where your forehead is protruding. So hijab is getting the double Zabibas, which make it look like Zabubas on his forehead.
David, there's something absolutely hilarious in the Quran about the Zabiba. So some Christian tricked Muhammad into claiming that the description of his people in the Injil is that, and in the Injil and the Torah, is that they have the mark on their forehead. Yep. Yes, I'm like, which of course, if any Christian would have people with the mark on their forehead, who would that be? Oh, that's the beast, right? And not that I'm saying that it means in Revelation that you will have a literal mark on your forehead, and if you are a follower of the beast, but that's the mark of the beast, right? If you're like, oh, there are people with the mark on their forehead, that's the beast. Absolutely hilarious that the Quran describes Muslims as the followers of the beast.
They follow a false prophet and the Antichrist religion. They're pretty close. They're missing the trio, 1/3 of the trio.
Yeah, the Quran's like, and if you want to be a true follower of Allah, you must get the mark on your forehead. And so when a guy comes around and says, you will get this mark on your forehead, you must do what he wants, because this is Allah.
He's got to show you a shin first. That's the real test.
So something else interesting on the regard of Muhammad just going so strongly out there and being like, look, it's in the Torah. We established the link between the Torah and Allah. Now, when we look at the context of what Ali Dawah, Muhammad Hijab's best buddy, has been saying recently, he has been actually swearing up a storm over claims that Andrew Tate made that Muslims have been defending the perpetrators of the rape gangs. And he said, who the bleep is defending this? Well, according to his best buddy, Muhammad Hijab, Allah is the one defending this. And even if we ignore Ali Dawa's best buddy, Muhammad Hijab, we know still, according to Islam, not according to the Torah, not according to the gospel, but according to the Quran, according to the Hadith, according to Sharia law, Allah is still the one defending this. So, again, some serious problems here, some serious red flags. Muslims, please pay attention to your sources and raise some of these flags yourself. I know the Quran says you're not allowed to ask questions, but it tells you why not to ask questions, because it'll cause you doubts. So maybe you should question why you shouldn't ask questions and why they would cause you doubts if you did.
And it's just super creepy because, you've got Daniel Hakikachu saying, "Yeah, even if a girl's 4 or something like that,
said infant,
you can consummate marriage with her." And Hijab says that if you just look at the Quran, you would conclude that you can have sex with a 5-year-old. So now he applies some obscure harm principle in the Hadith to say that you should wait longer. But he acknowledges, which is very, very weird, by the way. Like, according to Islam, this means he worships Muhammad and the Hadith collectors, because Muhammad said, well, in the passage where he says that Jews and Christians take their rabbis and priests as lords, it was raised as an objection to him at the time. Says, wait a minute, what are you talking about? They don't worship these guys. He says, when you let your priest or rabbi say that what Allah declares is halal is actually haram, or what Allah declares is haram is actually halal, you're worshiping that person. So he's defining what it means to worship. And what it means to worship, it's if you say, here's what Allah says, and Allah says this is halal, but I'm going to listen to this guy say it's haram, you are now worshiping that guy. You're worshiping that guy, according to Muhammad. Why is that relevant? Well, Muhammad Hijab stood there at Speaker's Corner and says that according to the Quran, it's halal to have sexual intercourse with a 5-year-old. He says, but we know from Muhammad's harm principle that we wouldn't have sex with a 5-year-old unless, like, she's ready or something like that, because we have to be concerned about harming her. Well, what's that mean? You're saying Allah says it's halal and Muhammad says it's haram, and you're listening to Muhammad. That's worship of Muhammad, according to Muhammad himself. So we respect Jesus. We're going to accuse him of ordering rape. We respect Moses. We're accusing him of being a pedophile. We're going to ignore that actually in Islam, Allah is the one who ordered this. And we're going to ignore the fact that in all of this, we're actually worshiping Muhammad by listening to him instead of what Allah says, because Allah says it doesn't matter. Allah gives no restrictions on molesting the little girl. And so it's all halal. This is pretty messed up stuff. That this isn't some random person. This is Muhammad Hijab. And this is how insanely sloppy he is when he's getting desperate to try and figure out a way to defend his fake prophet.
Well, you see, we're just about to get to the part of the video where he gives his bulletproof argument and defense for Muhammad's actions.
All right, I will wait till then to respond, but I do want to point out something about the way he is putting together his argument, how incoherent it is.
Here.
Can I just point out something before we move forward? Because Muhammad Hijab was talking about in Britain, in America, in other part of the world, we don't do anything to change the age of consent. We are quite happy with the land of the law, all those kind of things. And then he talked about how PIE, a group kind of has linked with the current government, with Labour. They were actively trying to bring the age of the consent down. And he was using he was making a point as a Muslim, we are happy. What is the age of consent here? Therefore, we don't need to do any protest or demonstration or lobbying stuff. But one of the things he forgot to express to us that PIE stands for Pedophilia Information Exchange. So those are the group of people who already have sexual desires towards kids, lobbied back in like 1970s to 1980s to bring the age of consent down to 4. That's what he's comparing that. Picking up the side of the pedophiles and then saying, oh yeah, this is what they are doing. We are just keeping ourselves away. Even though my Muslim sisters in Iraq is being from very early age, they are going to get raped, or from very early age in Yemen, they are being raped, as well as in Afghanistan. It is not my place to comment on it. We are quite happy with the age of consent, whatever it is in those countries. I find that's very dishonest. I want to express that.
You mean Muhammad Hijab's not being completely honest with us? What?
Shocker. But isn't is the Labour Party the demis of the Muslims in the UK?
Yeah, they're not dhimmis of Muslims. With dhimmis have little bit rights, even though they are not seen as like equal, but they are still given little bit human rights. With the Labour, actually, they are just slaves to Muslim vote as well as Islamic groups in England. So they are not even in the stage of dhimmis yet. They might kind of increase that. They might fight for their rights to get there, but no, they are not even dhimmis. They are just slaves to Muslims as well as slaves to Islam, and they quite enjoy that.
Yeah, and unless you understand the common thread that links these folks, you're like, why on earth would these people over here side with Muslims? Because they're both corrupt and sexually corrupt specifically. They both have really corrupt and disgusting sexual desires. Islam just hides it behind this facade of, oh, we're so modest. That's never been true in Islam. In Islam, wives have always been well known by Westerners, are shocked at the amount of infidelity and shocked at the amount of all kinds of other sexual behaviors very young. It's always been huge amounts of intercourse with boys has come with Islam wherever it goes. So why would not the people who want that ally with Islam? Now, they don't really understand that they'll kill them eventually, because you can't have it in the outside in Islam. You have to hide everything behind the veneer. The veneer is very important in Islam. The veneer is what holds Islam together. But they see those similarities and they're like, yeah, we're on that side. We're cool with you. You're deviants. We're deviants. Let's do it.
Are we good to go to the next section?
Yes, sorry about that. Yes.
No, we're good. All good.
Aisha being the age of 9 years old. An article of Islamic faith, is it one of the 5 pillars of Iman, or one of the 5? I will say this. I do believe in the historical account of 9 years old. And I personally believe it goes back to social and societal norms. I personally believe it's to do with how people define adulthood at that time, comparative to how we in most of the world define it in our time due to society. And someone will say, and this is the counter argument, well, didn't you say that your prophet was a prophet for all humankind? So how comes he's doing this and you're saying we shouldn't do it? The answer is the same prophet that told us this also told us that society changes. And he told us all of the rules. He told us all of the rules of how to deal with this changing society. For example, the principle of harm, the principle of necessity in Islam. La darar wa la dirar, la darar wa la idrar. These are all hadiths of the Prophet, that you cannot harm or reciprocate harm. And I would posture and wager
no harm in Islam, ladies and gentlemen.
A 13.
Yeah,
no harm.
I love how he's like, this is here.
So the
I'm not going to give you the full reference.
Yeah, the actual standard of harm is described in Sharia as being the fear that you will rupture the parts of the girls. That is it. That is the standard of harm for intercourse with small children. That if the child is so small that you fear that you will rip apart her vagina and anus so that they become one opening permanently back then, because there was no surgery to fix anything, no matter what, it's going to horribly scar you. But that is the standard of harm. That does not change with society. That's a biological fact for different girls at different ages. And who determines whether or not this will cause her harm? Well, you just guess. And if you're wrong, then you pay. That's what it is. It's so important for them to have intercourse with prepubescent girls that you just hang around and wait and guess. When you think that her parts might not rupture, if you happen to be wrong, then you pay out for it. That is what the standard of no harm is. There is no capacity in Islam for the law to change from year to year. It has been established. It has always been established. There's no capacity. He's just lying about that. As far as her being 9 and that being considered adult, that is a filthy lie from the pit of hell where his prophet came from.
That's what I was going to say. When he said, oh well, you know, we have a different concept of adulthood. And then he goes, and I'm like, oh, is he going to raise the obvious objection? And he says, and so they will say, oh, but Muhammad is the standard. It's like, whoa, no, the first thing I would have said is it specifically talks about children and having sex with children and even prepubescent girls. This is not a different concept of adulthood, you liar. So,
and there is a word for a little girl in Arabic that is used of Aisha at the affair of Ifk, which is when she is accused of being an adulteress. She is called a little girl, which is specific for a prepubescent, because she was prepubescent at this time when she was 14 years old. She had intercourse at 9. 5 years later, maybe because of sickness, maybe because of trauma, maybe because of malnourishment, because Muhammad underfed his wives because he had so many but needed to bribe people, so he just starved the ones that he wasn't with that night. She still had not gone through her first menstrual cycle. And so she was still a tiny little girl. And according to the Islamic sources, she was either late 14 years old to 16 when she finally had her cycle. So it has nothing to do. And that was considered adulthood in terms of biological adulthood. That is the definition in Islam. Legal adulthood is established at 9 only because Muhammad had sex with her at 9. Furthermore, whenever Ali had a tiny little daughter named Kulthum, she was asked for in marriage by Umar, who basically wanted a hostage to hold over Ali's head for good behavior. Ali objected, saying that she is too young. She's a tiny little girl. She's too young for marriage. Wait, does that mean that it was a normal back? If it was the norm, if it had been the norm, whenever Muhammad had intercourse with Aisha, he never would have made this objection. And what Umar comes back to him with is that, do you dare to refuse to do something that Muhammad established as being the sunnah? Do you dare say that the sunnah of Muhammad is not right? Do you dare withhold her from me on account of her age when Muhammad did not do that? And Muhammad was the one to introduce this into society, because before Islam, they had coming of age ceremonies in the council house in Mecca, where a girl would go and get a brand new underdress, and there'd be a big party and everything because she's come of age, and meaning that she's started her menstruation. And you do not have a ceremony for your menstrual cycle starting and you entering into a new phase of your life if you don't enter a new phase of your life at that time. So before, no marriage until your menstrual cycle started. Muhammad comes along and like, nah, you can bang anybody. Ali comes along and goes, no, she's too young. Umar says, no, Muhammad said you can bang anyone. You have to listen to Muhammad. He is the eternal standard. It's total fabrication, total deceit.
And let me just read Sahih al-Bukhari 5133. Everyone, so Muhammad Hijab's defense, keep in mind, I mean, everything I've heard that he's saying here so far is a lie, or at least massively misleading. Everything he's saying in defense of his fake prophet. But Sahih al-Bukhari 5133, Muhammad Hijab says the defense he just gave was, we just have a different concept of adulthood. See, we view adulthood differently. I'll just read this hadith with the chapter introduction. You tell me if this sounds like they're talking about adults, like if they're like, oh yeah, this is an adult here, she's an adult. The chapter heading is Giving One's Young Children in Marriage is Permissible. Giving one's young children in marriage is permissible. Why? By virtue of the statement of Allah, and for those who have no monthly courses, i.e. they are still immature, that's Surah 65, verse 4, which Muhammad Hijab himself acknowledges is talking about sex with prepubescent girls. So it's talking about prepubescent girls, says immature, and it says the iddah, that's the waiting period before you can another guy can have sex with her. And the iddah for the girl before puberty is 3 months in the above verse, Surah 65, verse 4. And then it says, narrated Aisha that the Prophet wrote the marriage contract with her when she was 6 years old, and he consummated his marriage when she was 9 years old, and then she remained with him for 9 years, i.e. till his death. So I'm just looking at the words. I'm just looking at the words that are used. Giving one's young children is permissible. The statement of Allah, no monthly courses, i.e. they are still immature. And the iddah for the girl before puberty. So everything you have giving any sort of idea of how they're thinking of Aisha at this time, it's young children, immature, before puberty, 6 years old and 9 years old. That's all you have in here. How is someone like Muhammad Hijab looking at this going, they're clearly saying she's an adult? No, they're not. They're saying she's a kid and that it's fine to have sex with her. That's what they're saying. She is a prepubescent girl and that it's fine to have sex with her because that's the example set by Muhammad. This dude's a compulsive liar.
Yeah, I think we've seen quite a few of his lies so far in this video, if we haven't pointed them out one after the other.
14 or 12, whatever it is, year old, 1,000 years ago, where they had a completely different upbringing, a completely different social structure, is completely different to what you do with them here, where they are mollycoddled and got sent to school every day, and they have a completely different lived experience. And therefore, I would say, yes, pedophilia, it is relative to one's definition of adulthood by historical fact, by current legalistic reality, and therefore, you don't have a right, I would say, to accuse our Prophet Muhammad ﷺ of such a heinous crime without taking into account those relativistic differences and cultural different sociological differences. That's how I would say.
You mentioned Jesus, peace be upon him.
He's full of crap there. He's full of crap there again, too. You can say, yes, societies have changed and so on over the if you're talking about sex with prepubescent girl, you're just in a different category. We have a category for that. It's called pedophile. You're I don't even know what to do here. It's like it would be like if Muhammad went around murdering 10 people and you say, oh, but concepts of murder have changed and therefore don't accuse him of murder because he had a different idea of murder. Murder's murder. Sex with a prepubescent girl is sex with a prepubescent girl. And so keep in mind, when you actually know what the Muslim sources say, because he's pretending that he doesn't. He's pretending to give an accurate account of them when we actually know what the sources say. If he's saying that this is relativistic, then he's saying there's actually nothing wrong with having sex with a 5-year-old girl. It's just your society may teach you that. That's not in the realm of something that is actually wrong. It's not actually wrong to have sex with a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old, whatever. It's not wrong. It's your society may teach you that it's wrong. And he's saying, okay, and yeah, it makes sense in a society that teaches that to kind of go along with their rule. But wait a minute. You're still saying at the end of the day that it's not wrong to have sex with a prepubescent girl. And you are the guys who want to make the laws of the future and to take over countries and establish the laws. So what are these guys planning down the road? But also keep in mind, if he's acknowledging that there's nothing wrong, there's nothing really wrong with having sex with a little girl, it's not wrong. What is our main objection to the grooming gang scandal in the UK? It's that these were young girls, right? It would be bad enough if they were doing it to grown women. It's especially evil and heinous because they're doing it to young girls. But according to Muhammad Hijab, there's actually nothing morally wrong with having sex with a young girl. It's nothing actually wrong with it. It's just your society may teach you. So basically, these guys are guilty of not submitting to the relative claims of their society. But they would not be doing anything wrong by having sex with a 9-year-old girl. Anything actually wrong, except for, it's frowned upon in that society.
Another question on that regard is, if things are supposed to change with the culture and Muhammad commanded it, I mean, are Muslims supposed to be like getting wasted because the culture does? Or like, are Muslims supposed to be like half naked because the culture does? Like, where did Muhammad say this, and what does it apply to and not apply to? Because again, if he's supposed to be the moral standard for all humans for all time, that's one thing. And that seems to be what Islam supposedly tries to pull at times. At times it says, oh, he's just this time's prophet for these people. But like, he's still supposed to be the best example, right? Like, where does this line get drawn according to Muhammad Hijab? It doesn't make sense. Not that Islam makes sense anyway, but
oh yeah, he's in full deception mode right now, right? Oh, and we will respect the laws of the land. No, why is every single dawah guy that you know of defending child marriage and sex with children? It's not just to defend Muhammad. If you just want to defend Muhammad, you wouldn't need to say it's okay to have sex with a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old and so on. But that's what they're saying. And so these are the same guys who Islam will eventually dominate the world and we will make the laws and so on. What are they going to do? Respect the laws of the land that they've just overthrown? Come on. Anyone take that seriously? I don't.
Nope. But after all, they are definitely.
We're proud of that. Yeah.
So let's hit a little bit more here.
Apparently not, because he's
We
lying about
love
it.
and revere is one of the mightiest messages.
What was that?
Oh, I said he's apparently not proud of it because he's lying about it. You don't lie about things that you're proud of.
Yeah,
Muhammad Hijab is fiercely ashamed of his religion. He is ashamed of his prophet. He is ashamed of all of it, so he hides it.
You're hiding, boy.
And if you watch enough of his videos, you start seeing that sort of pattern where he will start with insults and then he'll try to go to the shock and awe. Like, oh, I'll say something really really edgy, and that'll prove that I know what I'm talking about.
Those relativistic differences and cultural difference, sociological differences. That's how I would say.
You mentioned Jesus, peace be upon him, who we love and revere, is one of the mightiest messengers sent for his people at his time. And now, if you make that argument that now, because he started off as he's love, he's peace, and so if he's 1 in 3 in the Trinity, he's God. So he's giving these orders, which you quoted numbers. Take the little ones for yourselves.
Exactly.
Wouldn't he also be the one that dictated that Mary, that she be 12 when she gave birth to Jesus?
Yes, exactly. And there
whoa,
are many,
yes,
many
exactly.
Two
liars. Two liars. Double liars. Double Zabiba, Zabuba, lying liars from lying liar land. Welcome to Islam. I want everyone watching right there to notice. This is Eddie from the Dean Show and Muhammad Hijab. 2 dawah champions of the world who respect and revere Mary and Jesus just flat out lied about them. Flat out lied. If you don't believe me, hey, Eddie, I'm calling you a liar to your face for just saying that Mary was 12 and that this is part of Christianity or something like that. Show us that. You lying liar from lying liar land, lying on liars getting free day. It's pathetic. Mike, this is dawah. Guys, we've watched, since I've been here, we've watched like a total of like a minute and a half. Every single thing they've said is a lie. Everything. And these are not random guys who, if you could find a random person who doesn't know any better, so he just makes things up as he goes along. These guys are like champions of dawah. And this is what they do. Everything you ask them, everything they say, lie, 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 lie. And their fans go right to them. Oh, tell us more. They have developed a community that loves being lied to, and then they feed them the lies, and this makes them the heroes. This is, guys,
that has been the
awesome.
whole thing of this entire video that we've watched. I mean, 11. We're like 11 minutes into it, and we have been doing this for 1 hour, almost 150, 1 hour and 15 minutes. But just taking apart what they have lied about every few seconds, you gotta stop. Nope, that's not true. They don't actually have sources. They don't actually have references. Here's the truth behind it.
And I would say, please show us in the Bible, Eddie, where Mary was 12. I would love to see that. Show us in the Bible.
Yeah,
Like,
you never get that impression from the Bible because it talks about Jesus raising a girl from the dead, and he calls her little girl, but Mary is called blessed among women. So you wouldn't get that idea from the Bible because there's nothing in there. There's nothing in there that says her age, and the only indication you have is that she's called a woman, whereas girls were still called little girls and so on. And then what they all do is they'll say, oh, and it says it in the Catholic Encyclopedia. Someone started that complete lie years ago. And they all just roll with it. And it does not matter how many times you put it right in their faces and say, this is what the Catholic Encyclopedia says. It says the exact opposite of what you're saying right now. They do not care. They will go into the next little discussion and instantly spout the same exact lie. They do not care. They just don't. They claim to respect all the people they're talking about. They lie about them incessantly. Objections get brought to them, and they do nothing but lie. What does this, I mean, you viewers, what does this tell you about this religion where the go-to method for anything, no matter what it is to just lie? It's insane.
Because they're ashamed. They're utterly ashamed of Muhammad. And they have to try to make everything common like Muhammad did. So look, everybody else did it, so Muhammad did it. And it's funny because like you won't find that. They don't love and respect Mary or Jesus. This guy, he cannot breathe without breathing out a lie. Nope. I'll just leave it there. Sorry.
Can I point out something? When you love and respect someone, you will be very honest about them. So if I love and respect David Wood, I'll make sure when people say informations about it, I'll make sure that is accurate. When people are kind of stating something about Sister K, I would make sure people know what actually she said, what she did. So you wanted to make sure you are being very honest about what that person does and sees, because first of all, you love them. By default, you feel you've got to protect them, as well as you want truth is important. You want that information be as truth as it can be. And what we have is two Muslim experts, Muslim missionaries who's been in the field probably before some of us even born. And they say they love Mary and Jesus. And then what is the next thing they do?
Lie.
They lie about them. They lie about them and they insult them. That's like love, definition of love in Islam, definition of respect in Islam. And this is like, in this occasion, they are thinking about Mary of Bible and Jesus of Bible. If they can easily do these things to these individuals whom they see very honorable, then what do you think they do to their loved ones? I wouldn't want to be Muslim at that occasion. Very, very dangerous thing. I love you, therefore I'm going to lie about you. I love you, therefore I'm going to disrespect you as much as I can, because no one ever keeps me accountable. Very disturbing.
Well, I think that
everything Hatun just said there, very important.
Yes.
We love Jesus more than you do. We love Mary more than you do. What do you do about them? Lie nonstop. Why? To defend Muhammad. So we call everyone pedophiles. It's what we do. Jesus is a pedophile. He commanded pedophilia. Moses, pedophile. Isaac, pedophile. Mary, husband Joseph, all pedophiles. They're all pedophiles. And completely lying. But what Hatun's just pointing out there, ask Muslims who they reverence most. It's Muhammad and so on, but also, Jesus and so on. They lie about the people they claim to love most. What about their wives and so on? And then you say, okay, what about the people they don't like?
Of course, they can lie to their wives.
No, I mean about their wives. You could just say anything you want. If you can lie like this. But think about this. I mean, if they lie about the people they love most in the universe, what about the people they hate? What about the people they absolutely hate and despise?
What is the Islamic definition of lying, though? The Islamic definition of lying is saying things that are offensive to someone that you shouldn't offend. That's what it is. That's really, whenever you dig down into it, the Islamic view of lying, which is the same as the pagan idea of lying among the Arabs. It was noted by the Greeks that the Arabs were the greatest liars in the world, was that truth is just what is pleasing to the hearer whom you wish to please. So you can lie about Muhammad. They lie about Muhammad all the time. They lied about Muhammad here. You can lie as long as it is pleasing. If Muhammad wasn't a pedophile, it would raise his reputation among certain groups of people. Therefore, you lie about him to those people. And that is truth. Everything's in backwards in Islam. Everything is the opposite of what it says it is. But what's important about as far as the age of Mary goes, whenever we look in the sources, not only is she called a woman, but she's traveling on her own authority places. She is under her own authority and under her own power. She is a grown adult in every way and described that way. She doesn't have a guardian because she is an adult living independently, as far as we can tell, certainly with no one to tell her what to do or where to go. And we find in the source that they try to bring up, which was written like 200 years. It's written in the late 2nd century, so it's almost 200 years after Jesus, to early 3rd century. It's written in response to a dude named Celsus. And this text specifically says that she was married at 12, and this is just being pulled out of their rear ends. It didn't actually happen, but that she was married at 12. Why? To give her a guardian who would never have intercourse with her ever, and she would be a perpetual virgin, because at 12 years old, that was the youngest possible age that that a girl would be expected to go through puberty at that time. And she'd been living in the temple, and she couldn't live in the temple anymore if she was menstruating, because that would defile the temple. So they're giving her a guardian before puberty, not for intercourse, but to prevent intercourse. And then there are elaborate sections about how embarrassed Joseph, who is a widower in this account, how embarrassed he is in case someone might think that he would be such a filthy, disgusting, revolting person as to have intercourse with someone so much younger than him, even after she was 13, 14, even after that point, after she had gone through puberty. He did not want anyone to think, and he was embarrassed at the idea that someone might think that he would have intercourse with a girl who was so young in this account. So what you have here is a comparison between, and in this account, Mary was 14 at the youngest when she gives birth, by the way, not 12. But what you have here is a comparison between Muhammad, who marries a girl at 6, has intercourse at 9, and is completely open and happy when he is in his 50s. He's 53. He is totally happy about this situation. And yet, and this is great. This is great. Huge age gap. She's a tiny child. It's great. And then in comparison, you have the story, which is apocryphal, which has Mary, which establishes that no one in the ancient world expected anyone 9 years old to ever have a period, and also establishes how shameful it would be for an old man to have intercourse with a much younger wife, even if she was a technical legal adult and under the law, that would still be shameful. It'd still be embarrassing. And so that's proof that that didn't happen, because they never would have done anything so shameful, embarrassing, and disgusting. So even the example that they run to, they're just hoping you don't look into it, because it condemns Muhammad in an ancient context. It says that to the ancient people, what Muhammad did would be offensive and disgusting. and yet they want to say, oh, it's the same. No, it's not.
Well, unfortunately, that's not the end of their argument. They still have more from the Bible to justify Muhammad's debaucheries. But real quick here, a couple of quick super chats here. Robert says, keep up the good work, Eric and company. We also have a question from Matthew here. What translation of the Quran would you recommend for apologetics with Muslims? Are they all pretty much the same, or are some better for the Islamic dilemma and exposing violence, etc.?
Everyone waiting for me?
I don't know. It's a question to all of us.
No, I'm saying because we would all have thoughts on that one. Some you get the Islamic dilemma from any Quran as long as they're not deliberately messing around with the translation and so on. It can be clearer in certain translations, but I'd kind of pick what your Muslim friends are. If you're talking to some particular Muslims, ask them ahead of time. Say, hey, what Quran translation do you use? And check it out. If it's not some weird Quran, I would say try to roll with that. But no, you get the Islamic dilemma. You can go to the Yusuf Ali. You got the Islamic dilemma there. You can go to the Shakir, the Pickthall. You get the Islamic dilemma from all of those.
I guess for me, I use multiple, so I'll cross-reference. I'll use one specific translation for videos, but I'll go back through and look at multiple different ones to see if there's any big differences between them.
One of the things is beneficial, I think, if you are doing face-to-face evangelism, have the Quran, one side is English, other side is Arabic, because which translation you use, they are going to say, oh, Arabic doesn't say this, Arabic doesn't say this, therefore Arabic is in your hand as well. And then in your personal study, it is helpful to underline the parts which you think like that's the word you want to emphasize. So when you show the Arabic, they will get to see the word you are talking as well. So I have Yusuf Ali, Muhsin Khan, and Sai International with me all the time, like in my kind of handbag. And whatever person, sometimes like they just say, oh, that's not good, then you just go with Yusuf Ali. Depend who you are talking to. And it's helpful to not only take the translation of the Quran, but get a couple of different Arabic Qurans as well. They are very helpful as well.
I guess another aspect is if it's a dawah table, it's very nice to ask them for the Quran, and then for them to hand it to you. And then if you know enough of it, they might try to take it back.
And do not give that to them.
Yeah, don't give it back. Just go to the table and be an unsuspecting citizen. They're so willing to give you Qurans. I like it.
They usually won't give it to you in Arabic because of all the rules about making it clean. So then they'll give you one that has false translations in English, usually the clear Quran, which is one of the most deceptive. And then they'll be like, it doesn't say that in Arabic. I'm like, why didn't you give me the Arabic then? I mean, seriously.
Well, I mean, I just read their Quran to them. Like if they give it to you in English, that's the benefit, is that you gave me, an English speaker, a Quran that you don't think is accurate.
Yep.
So either way, they're stuck.
So let's go ahead and pull the video on back up, see what else they have to say.
Many reports that indicate that Rebecca was 3 years old. And you'll find that all over the Jewish sources.
What?
These are things that they'll just hand wave off.
Yep. Instantly went to Rebecca.
Because it's insane,
Marry
you liar.
Rebecca.
They'll just wave these things off because they know better than us. And they're not liars.
Many reports. You notice he doesn't present many reports, right?
Nope, not a single one.
Well, she gets younger every time, right? Many reports indicate that she was a egg a male and female gamete when she married Isaac. She just gets younger and younger every time they talk.
I mean, for heaven's sake, she's called a woman, she's called a virgin, and she's called a maiden. But no, what they meant to write is that she's a little girl, which is the word that they didn't use of her, like the small child word. But she was. She called her everything else.
But Elle and Eric, I'm going to need a graphic of a strong 3-year-old, because look at the task she was carrying out in Genesis, watering camels and carrying a huge. She had to be buff.
I was literally. I was just having a
video
conversation
that goes into the entire thing, how much it actually weighed, how much water was actually there, how much you would have to give to the camels.
But just helpful to think about, something helpful to think about it. Sake of the argument, let's say, as the lips of Muslim missionaries move, they lie, and then we are generous Christians, we let them to lie about it. Okay, Rebecca is 3 years old. Don't you think that 3 years old Rebecca is much, much better than Aisha? Aisha is at age 14. She can't even get home. She doesn't know how to get back. Aisha doesn't know where to put the dough in the house. She puts it under the bed. Aisha doesn't know where to hide the Quran. So animals comes into her house and then eat the word of Allah. Versus 3 years old Rebecca. She knows she can travel long distance with the camels. Probably she can't even reach the knee of the camel, but she's able to control them. She is able to travel freely without any gossip or anything. Even that 3 years old Rebecca is much, much better than the mother of the believers. I would like to point that out.
Yeah, whenever they go to this is just absolutely insane. It shows that they have actually never read the sources themselves.
And two more quick things here. One, if Isaac had sex with a 3-year-old Rebecca, as none of us would believe for a second simply by reading the passages, but if Isaac had done that, we would say he's wrong. We don't believe that these prophets are perfect models of behavior. Isaac would not be our pattern of conduct. So that's one thing. So if he had done it, like in their minds, if a prophet did it, you have to say it's okay. No, we don't. No, we don't. We can look at what King David does with Uriah and say, and that was bad. And guess what? The Bible says it was, and he stands condemned for what he did. We don't say, if someone did it in the Bible, therefore it's okay, and we all have to agree with it. So that's another idiotic assumption by Hijab. But the other thing is, notice here, this is Isaac, but who sent the guy to find this bride?
Abraham.
Abraham sent this guy to get this bride. So Abraham now, when he sends a man to find a bride for his son, he sends the guy to find a toddler. So who do we have that they're accusing of being pedophiles here? Jesus, not in that he was doing it, but in that he was ordering people to do it. So Jesus orders mass pedophilia, according to Muhammad Hijab and Eddie from the Dean Show. We've got Moses, he's a pedophile, and the entire community there. They're all banging little kids. Now you've got Abraham and Isaac and Joseph, the husband of Mary, all pedophiles. Everyone watching, everything they've said is based on a lie. Everything, every accusation that they're raising is false. And they're calling everyone, all these people they claim to love and respect, they're calling them all pedophiles and lying to do it. They're lying about all of these people that they claim to love and respect more than anyone else except Muhammad. They're lying about all of them, accusing them all of pedophilia, falsely accusing all of them of pedophilia, all to defend their real object of worship, who is Muhammad. And they think they're the good guys in all this. They think this makes them the good guys We're going to lie about Abraham. We're going to lie about Isaac. We're going to lie about Moses. We're going to lie about Joseph. We're going to lie about Mary. We're going to lie about Jesus. We're going to lie about all of them, all to defend our fake prophet. And oh, by the way, we've got the true religion. This is nuts, man.
As Houston Euler said, whenever they pull up the Genesis, they're like, she was definitely born here. Whenever Abraham finds out about her, well, that's when Abraham found out about her dad too. So how old was he?
And a bunch of other people.
Yeah, a bunch of other people. They were all born simultaneously. Like he was born, apparently already married to his wife and had already pregnated her in the womb. So on the same day, they could also give birth.
Yeah, guys, and that's an important point for people who are wondering where they're getting this. Where are they getting this idea? You need to understand, like, how do they actually make this claim? You can look at everything the Bible says about Rebecca. Do all the math you want. You cannot calculate an age for her. All you can do is say, okay, she's out doing chores in the field and she's carrying large amounts of water by herself. She's going out. Either this girl is supernaturally strong, which, I mean, if you have a case for that, go ahead and make it, but does not sound like any 3-year-old I've ever heard of. Does not sound like any 6 or 7-year-old I've ever heard of. So if you this is how they look at things. There's no indication you get from the text how old she is, except that she sounds like a teenager to me. That's what she sounds like. What do they do? How do they actually get an age of 3? Well, in order to do the math, they go to the end. And to be fair, there was a Jewish rabbi who did the same thing. That's where they get that. That's where you had the claim among the rabbis. You also had rabbis who said she was 10. You also had rabbis who said she was 14. Why? Because there's no actual date. There's no actual age given. So you could claim anything you want. But there was a rabbi who did the exact same thing that Muslims insist upon when they try to do the math. They went, as Mary pointed out, you go to the end of Genesis 22, and it gives an update on what Abraham heard about his family, because he left home. He left home long before this, and he finally gets news from home about all the people that had been born. On that list of people who had been born since he had left was Rebecca. Lists Rebecca amongst a bunch of other people. And so what they say is, right when Abraham found out about this, that's when she was born. And so we can calculate the age from there. She was 3. Well, as Mary pointed out, there's not one word saying that that's right when she was born. It says this is when Abraham heard about who his relatives were. And if you want to say, that means that's when she was born, that's when all these people were born. And it makes no sense. You can't get all these relationships and all these births unless someone just boom, they all popped out like Russian nesting dolls or something like that. Anyway, it's just absolute insane nonsense. And everyone watch. I mean, think about this. These are the champions of dawah.
Yep, this is the best.
Note the champions of dawah are always the biggest liars that you've ever encountered in your life. Why? Why is lying the only way to defend Muhammad? It's insane.
Yeah, there are also 2 completely independent myths that spring up around the sacrifice of Isaac and those various things that happen. One myth was that this was the moment that Rebecca was born, was when he was on the mountain. A completely separate myth was that while he was on the mountain, Satan went to his mom and said, hey, your husband killed your son and sacrificed him to God, and he's dead now. And so she died of grief in that moment. And because there's a 3-year time period gap between when she died and when the son was sent out, or whenever the servant was sent out, they're like, Rebecca was 3 if you read these together. But these are 2 completely independent, hundreds of years apart, thousands of miles apart, where people made this up in the Middle Ages. And if you insist that whatever myth that people just make up is true and read them together, then you get her being 3. But that's the only way you get it, by reading these 2 completely different Jewish myths, apocrypha, together, and then going, hey, someone once said this. It has to be true. And then you end up with a very silly situation, which Ravi, the rabbi, said, no, this is not what happened, and came up with his own solution while not discrediting the other rabbis because that would be embarrassing. But like, you have to do something like that. It's just silly.
And I just wanted to point out, these are the same guys who the Talmud is evil, the Talmud is evil, the Talmud is evil. Whenever it's convenient, they'll say, you have to go with the Talmud. Look at the Talmud is indisputable. So there's that. But here's the thing.
But it's not even from the Talmud. It's like much later. It's like from the 500s to like one of the earlier one is like the 500s, and then the later one is like even later than that. Like, it's so late. It's so ridiculous.
And here's what's interesting. So you say, hey, we're quoting this late Jewish commentary on the age of Rebecca. You Christians, you believe that? No. Why? If you wanted us to agree with that, you'd have to show us the reasoning and have to show that you have a good argument based on the text that we believe in. You can't do that. We would look at any argument you gave and we would say, you're not getting that from the text. This sounds insane to us. So we wouldn't believe it. If as a Muslim, he says, too bad, you have to go with this interpretation, his interpretation is correct, then he's saying, now keep in mind, we would still reject it and say, we don't have to do what you say just because it's convenient for you, helping to rescue your prophet from the absolutely accurate charges of pedophilia. We don't have to go with the source because you say so. But he's saying that the source is legitimate. What's that mean? It means that according to what he believes, Abraham ordered his servant to go get a 3-year-old bride for his son Isaac, and that Isaac had sex with a 3-year-old. Not according to us. We don't believe that. Hijab believes that. So here again, he's the one who has to conclude that pedophilia is once again part of his religion. Everything he's describing right now is part of his belief. So I guess you would chalk this up to, relativism again. This is a thing where it's not absolutely wrong. It's just relative to a culture. And if it may be completely okay to have sex with a 3-year-old in certain cultures, I don't know what to do here. These guys are sick and stupid and liars.
Well, again, whenever it comes to this topic, I have but one response. And that response is...
Brother, That's a good one. That's how the entire world is, except pedophiles.
See what else they have to say here.
They don't care about any of that stuff. Because remember, now Christianity has become a thing which you can just pick and choose from. So people metaphorize that which they don't want. All those genocides that I mentioned in the Old Testament, all those things they don't like, they just metaphorize it. They just, all those scientific inaccuracies, that bogus claims of the creation of the universe, 7-day rest, anything they don't like, they'll just metaphorize it.
Who revealed that?
And so for them, the situation, they'll just hang.
It is really bad.
This is bad, man. I mean,
he called Allah a liar so many times.
He did, and it's just his followers are so insanely stupid they'll never notice it, and they'll cheer for it. Oh, great point, Brother Hijab. Great point. And he's condemning and mocking Muhammad and Allah in like 87 different ways right here.
And it's so funny. Again, he's going you have to believe the way that I use the word is the way that it was meant in the original. Yeah, the Sabbath is the day of ceasing from work. It's not the day of sleeping in and resting up. Oh, God was... No, it does not say that. There's a word for weariness and there's a word for ceasing. They are different words. Now, ceasing may bring you refreshment, and God's delight in the universe is couched in refreshing terms, just as God is pleased by a good sacrifice, by a well-meant, honest sacrifice, rather than sacrifices that are done with actual bad intentions behind them and trying to cover up for sins. But you can't go, you have to understand it the way I want you to understand it, whenever literally no person in the history of Christianity or Judaism has ever understood it that way, any person with any authority. Yet, now we have Muhammad Hijab here to correct everyone. Oh, thank goodness we have him. He's the one who's right.
And conveniently, what he tells us we have to believe is just what we need for him to defend Muhammad's pedophilia. conveniently. But I mean, even apart from that, you could grant everything he said. He's arguing like an atheist, not like someone whose prophet affirmed our scriptures.
But that would be very interesting to pull a video on how much he lied. He told Allah was a lie, and just compare what Allah said about his 7-day creations and so on and so forth.
It's hard to keep track of the numbers of lies in these videos, but
yeah, now you got me because I came in
off.
late. Now you got me wanting to go through the entire thing and count them all. Like how many lies?
You would.
Hey, there you go. You got a live stream there with AP. There you go.
I might do that.
Just ring the bell every time there's a lie. Ding.
Screaming goat.
Oh yeah, no, there you go. Take a shot every time. Every time Muhammad Hijab lies, and then we're dead by the end of the show.
Gold liver and all.
Completely unconscious.
But one thing that this guy said, which I think is also worthy of mentioning, is that he connected this hadith of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ with the behavior of the groomers in the UK. Now, in sociology, okay, you need to be able to prove causation. If you want to make a causative, is the reason for B. It's the reason. A correlation is different. You could say, for example, okay, that it's getting hot in July, but at the same time, pumpkin sales are going higher. There's no correlation there. There's no causation. There's a correlation, but there's no causation. But if it's Halloween time and it's October, then you can make a causative case. They say, but people are buying pumpkins because of Halloween. Now, if you're making a causative case between the religion of Islam on the one hand and the grooming that took place on the other, then what you need as a sociologist, as a proper academic, is you need to make a causative argument to show the link between A and B. And in this case, what would be sufficient, or at least something to speak about, is a testimony from these groomers themselves saying, we were inspired by the hadith. We don't believe it's haram. We don't believe it's wrong to take these white girls and to do this. How comes from all of the reports that I've read and all of the police reports and the people that I've challenged in the last 2 weeks, not one of them has been able to show one single report in the United Kingdom of someone citing religious reasons for the reasons why they've done that. Whether obviously if they're non-Muslim, but if they are Muslim, if they are Asian, we don't find one single report of an individual saying, I have been inspired, incentivized, or otherwise motivated by my religion. The challenge, therefore, would be produce one report. Surely you should, of all these cases that took place in Telford, in Rotherham, in Rochdale, and there was over 1,000 white girls that were badly abused by these horrible, horrendous, horrific, monstrous, condemnable, abominable individuals. Not one of those individuals has been able to come with a single report saying that the reason why I did this was because of my religion. How comes? The fact that you have not been able to produce one report like that means you are disqualified from being able to make a causative case.
So disqualified if you can't fabricate.
Disqualified.
You can't refer to one of these exactly worded.
So here's the thing. I have interviewed few girls in the past on this. I have read quite a lot about it because back in 2017 or 2018, I took a list of these groomers, rapists to Speaker's Corner, and then I read their name to the Muslims and then asked them how many were not Muhammad. So it is such a strange, not as strange, like David would already express, months of Muslims are just moving, they're lying, and how many lies we have in this video so far. So there are reports where it's been expressed that individual is going to mosque, coming back from the prayer and raping these girls. and passing them around for others to do it. He's going to mosque and coming back from mosque. He's changing the name of the girls to Islamic names. Okay? During Ramadan, he is fasting. Who is fasting during Ramadan? Hindus? I don't know. Independent 2018, okay? Independent newspaper. She testifies, they made it clear that because I was non-Muslim and not a virgin, and because I didn't dress modestly, that they believed I deserved to be punished. They said I had to obey or I will be beaten. I turned up the police and police didn't help. And then there is another report I went through last week where they're putting certain things in this girl's private part, in her mouth, all those kind of things. Why? Why they are calling her kafir while they are doing this kind of things? I don't come across Hindus who are calling me kafir. I don't come across Chinese who are calling me kafir. Like, I am quite okay for these idiots to take responsibility and then say, yes, there are over hundreds of thousands of girls are being raped. We don't even know the numbers because government doesn't care about them. Police doesn't care about them. Social service doesn't care about them. Civil servant doesn't care about them. We don't know their numbers. But when we look at the rapist, we know over 85% identify themselves as Muslim. Even when you go to these court hearings, they are turning to the judge and then say, oh, I don't recognize you as my judge. I need a Sharia judge. I'm quite okay for them to say, yes, there is a problem, and it seems it is coming from the Muslims intentionally towards these white girls. We don't know how to deal with it, but we can see there is a problem. Versus coming to the platforms and then lying, oh, it has nothing to do with Islam. Oh, provide this reference for me, provide this reference for me. They're just liars, and they're doing their part-time stripper job. Sorry,
you see, the problem is they didn't quote a reference and say, this is why I am doing it right here, this hadith right here, or this part of the Quran. That's how they'll get out of it.
I can show all that to them.
Yeah, so you don't need to be Einstein to figure out, okay, these people are identifying themselves as Muslim. These people are coming back from the prayer. These people are calling me because I am not dressed up, I am whore. These people are telling me, oh yeah, they can do to me whatever I want because I'm not Muslim. All that kind of thing. Okay, and then there is even testimony where she says, oh, if I become a Muslim, things will be easier for me. But in England, you just need to be Einstein to put all that together. What the ideology behind all these things? 84% of them are identified as Muslim men. What is they have in common? Not all of them has fingers. That's not what they have in common. They have in common the ideology. That ideology, or like, takes the value and dignity of woman as well as non-Muslim woman. Ideology simply treats them as, oh yeah, these are your right hand possessed ones. Do to them whatever you want to do. But in England, as I said, you need to be Einstein to just put that together, because, well, if you just express that, you just end up. Sorry, I just get annoyed with like their stupidness.
Yes, it's pretty terrible. But think about this. So I guess Muhammad Hijab's idea there would be something like this. If they're not saying this is because of Islam, which we all know it, we all know exactly what it has to do with Islam. But if they're not saying it, I am doing this for Allah while begging you or something like this, then you just have no idea. And you should just assume that they're just random pedophiles, Now, here's the thing though, if these guys were just random pedophiles and they weren't concerned about their religion, wouldn't they be including Muslim girls in there? If they're people who don't care about their religion, then wouldn't they be grooming Muslim girls as well?
Yeah.
And who are they targeting?
People.
Yeah, they're targeting they're targeting the kafir girls and telling them that's why they're targeting
and then
them.
telling them that's also significant, because the testimony from their own mouths is that we are doing this because you are not Muslim, and we are Muslim, and we do this to you. So my question to Muhammad Hijab is, what is the house of war, and what does it mean to be in the house of war? Tell me in what circumstances it would not be permissible to rape a woman in the house of war. They're not dhimmis because they're not under the protection of Islam. So they are considered enemy combatants at this point. And raping them is absolutely permissible in Islamic law. It is part of the warfare. They are to make them slaves once they have the opportunity, of which raping them is a part. If they can only rape them right now, well, then that's fine too. But the question is, are they doing it because they are Muslim? The answer is yes. Next question is, does Islam teach this as being within the bounds of correct behavior for Muslims? And the answer is also yes. So they are not going against their religion, and they are doing it because of their religious identity. Hello? If they are against enemy soldiers, which they consider literally your toddler on the street is their enemy soldier that they should destroy if they cannot submit your toddler to their dominance. If they are enemy soldiers, where is there an obligation in Islam to be honest to your enemies and not lie to them? The number one thing, there's a list of people you can lie to, and one of the number one things that you can do is you can lie in war. They're not going to say anything that disadvantages their campaign of warfare against your children. And that is so important to understand. It's because they're Muslim. It fits with Islamic identity, ideas, ideals, practices. And it's because of that they aren't going to tell you their enemies against whom they are having warfare. They consider your daughters, girls, to be destroyed or converted. So why is he going, you can't find a verse that says do this exact thing? You can find an entire body of law and the testimony of the girls and the testimony of the men. And the simple pattern is, if you have eyes and you understand that is why this is happening.
And I just wanted to point out, because this
doesn't take very much.
I just wanted to point out one more thing about how messed up this is. There are a few ideas that all weave together for how these guys believe that this is perfectly appropriate behavior. So one, as we all know, you've got the Quran, which talks about taking the women and girls captive, and that you can have sex with them. Doesn't matter if they're married, none of that matters. You take them captives and so on. So one, it's not just your wives that you're allowed to have sex with. Hijab has deceptively claimed that in his tweets. It's just your wives. What? We're not allowed to have sex with non-wives and so on. Total nonsense. He knows that's false. So one, that you take women and girls as your captives. Then you've got the idea that non-Muslims are the worst of creatures. They're in a different category of people. Surah 98 verse 6, that the Jews and the Christians and the polytheists and so on are the worst of creatures. We're inferior to dogs. We're inferior to pigs. We're inferior to insects. According to the Quran, Allah has no love for unbelievers. So how much does Allah care what you're doing to these girls? Do with them as you will. You've got that. But then third, the third main idea in all of this that justifies their behavior for them is that it's perfectly okay in Islam to view little girls as sexual partners. Why is that creepy? Guess what? The dawah guys defend all this stuff. They defend all this stuff. They defend the claim that they can take captives in war. They defend the claim that you can have sex with little girls. They defend all the elements there. Now, all you can say at the end of the day is, well, this is different because we didn't go in and conquer them yet. And therefore, guess what? There's a reason for that. There's a reason the Muslims in the time of Muhammad had to conquer the opposing tribe and then take their daughters, because the men would have protected their daughters. And so, of course, you have to conquer them first to get your captives. They had no comprehension, no idea of a society that's going to say, oh yeah, just take our daughters, rape them, do whatever you want with them, gang rape them, we don't care. And matter of fact, we'll defend you, and we'll actually stop their fathers from trying to rescue them. That's what we'll do. They had no comprehension of a nation that's that pagan, that's that sick and evil and twisted and pagan. Apart from that, all the other elements are there. What can you say at the end of the day? You can say, well, the pagans of Arabia would not hand their daughters over, so they had to subjugate them first. And we're not completely subjugating the British people first. And so it's a different situation. Yeah. But I guess you could say you did subjugate them. You just subjugated them not by going out and conquering them on the battlefield. You can't do that. You're weak. You subjugated them by calling them names. And they were so incredibly weak and pathetic that they actually backed down from name calling and handed over their daughters. Please, 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 just don't call us names. Don't call us racist. Don't call us Islamophobes. We'll give you all the 12-year-old daughters on the entire island, as long as they're, in a certain economic strata. And so that's what you can say. All the elements are there. And hijab, pretending that they don't, and pretending that this has nothing to do with Islam. This guy, there's a reason he's popular in dawah. The bigger the liar you are, the more popular you are in dawah. You will show me an honest dawah guy. Show me one.
You might be searching for a long time on that one.
Forever.
Real quick, Jack Ray, thank you for the 10.
Oh, hey,
gifted memberships.
Hey, Derek, you just said it. What did you just say?
You might be searching for a long time.
Oh, that reminded me. There's a famous story about Diogenes. He's an early philosopher where he walked around with a lantern. He walked around with a lantern saying, I'm looking for an honest man. I'm looking for an honest man, even in the daylight. It'd be funny to go to a Muslim booth or a speaker's corner or something like that, walking with a lantern going, looking for an honest dawah guy. I'm looking for an honest dawah guy. Oh, that'd be fun. Might have to keep that in our back pockets for the future.
That would be hilarious.
The like of which you have tried to make. And that's why there's no bona fide academic that makes, by the way, the causative case. Not one bona fide sociologist.
It's just our sources.
Peer-reviewed journals that make the causative case, because it's too difficult to make. They know that. And in almost all the reports that have been written by the CSA and the Home Office and the Cobain report and this and the book that she wrote in 2018, Elle Cobain in 2018, none of that links the Asian grooming gangs, etc., to the religion of Islam. So this man is academically inept. He is incapable of reaching that level of inquiry. He's incapable of making the case. He's creating a problem out of nothing. And as I've mentioned, if his issue is of men who are over a certain age being in sexual relationships with women that are under the age of 18 or even the under the age of 16, then you've got 300,000 cases, according to statistics from the year 2008 and 2018 in the United States of America itself, which, by the way, as we mentioned, the majority of the states don't even have an age of consent, or they have an age of consent which is below the age of 18. Okay, what you have to worry about? Why are you worrying about what's happening in Telford and Rochdale?
Just clarification, because I happen to be American. Not a single state has no age of consent. Now, a statement, well, some of them have it under the age of 18. Yes, that is true. But not a single state. His first half of his claim is completely fraudulent. Not a single state has no age of consent. And I'm still waiting for him to try to explain to me how that justifies Muhammad's actions. It doesn't. There's no connection.
There's some states that haven't added additional laws that create peculiar loopholes, but they haven't been a problem because we don't have the habit of marrying tiny girls. It's not an American thing. It wasn't a Western thing. There's something called the Western pattern of marriage, which you guys can look up. In the history of the West, of Western Europe, the marriage age, the average marriage age of girls has been above 20 years old, except for very, very briefly when everybody was dying in average age of first marriage, dying in the colonies of what would become America. And then it was like 19 and change. So there was no time in which people would not be shocked to see a girl under the age of 15 married off and a relationship that has been consummated. Now, you make political alliances and unconsummated relationships all kinds of times and places and things, but that's king stuff. We're talking about regular people who are actually having intercourse when they marry. Anything under 15 would be absolutely jaw-droppingly shocking and really offend the culture. And so it wasn't a thing. It did not happen. And in fact, if you look at the source from which Shakespeare took Romeo and Juliet, those sources have Shakespeare made her even younger to make it more shocking, because the story is that she's supposed to be too young to think of marriage. And this is one of the two big causes of the woe. She's too young. That is established very clearly. But in the originals from which he took, she is still too young to think of marriage. And guess what? She's 16 in one and 18 in the other. So 18 in one of the sources that he took from was considered too young to consider marriage and part of the source of all the grief. So all of this, oh, your grandmother was 12, your grandmother was 14. No, she wasn't. This is just fiction. And it's something that Muslims love to lie about because it makes them look better. It's simply not true.
Wait, they lie?
When they speak.
Oh, okay.
When they don't speak.
Only when they're breathing.
They don't.
I mean, I guess they could lie with their actions too. Let's not shortchange them. Yeah.
True.
Rotherham. In these towns, by the way, if you've been, they're not even cities in the UK, where disenfranchised and poor people are doing all kinds of mad stuff. Yeah, if you meet these people, you're going to tell me they're religious. They're not religious people. These guys are thugs, and they were giving alcohol and giving alcohol and giving drugs to the girls and stuff like. Why is alcohol and drugs now become part of the Islamic package? I don't think so. So
yep.
I think that the fact that they're making this case is pathetic and it's embarrassing, and it's something which they're only doing because their prophet and their true God, okay, Elon Musk, decided because of his H-1B visa situation to say such and such a thing. But there will be something coming out about Elon Musk which will shock the public, which I will be publishing on Thursday, which will shock the public. It's the most scandalous thing, and I'm keeping it with me. It will completely shock the British public. It will come out in 2 days.
Did anyone in the British is he talking about Elon assigning someone to threaten him and to come after him when Elon's never heard of this guy?
I think so. Because I think he did this live stream and then he reposted this video, and that's when I saw it.
Did you hear this? The British public will be shocked. No. Some of your stupid, insanely gullible followers will be shocked. No one else will be shocked by Elon. If anything, they will be shocked by how dumb your followers are. Because anyone who listens to that, Elon is conspiring against me and using his trillions of dollars to come after me. Anyone who's looking at that would say you're either a complete liar or you're insane if you actually believe that. But more so, they would look at anyone who believes that. They would say you have to be incomprehensibly stupid, and probably you'd have to be the offspring of 100 generations of first cousin marriage to be dumb enough to believe that. That's what would shock the British public, not that Elon is coming after you.
One of the things it helps him is when he brings up those names and then, oh, poor me, I just attacked his family, and then no one knows who is that person, kind of inform me that someone is coming after me, please help me, and then here's my bank account. Here's how you can help me. It's just like
It's just like Hamas becoming the leaders become billionaires and stuff, right? You get a bunch of dumb people. You paint yourself as a victim, and they start sending you piles of stuff and money and stuff.
It works for them. Like in his mind, like, oh, it is giving me a platform. Even Elon Musk is talking about me. all that. I'm just like, come on, man. Like, remember, like, do you remember, David? This is the very guy who sent his gangs after that
Mufti
Abu Layth.
Yeah, so he sent like his gangs after him. His gangs went into his house while kids are in, and then he's just like, oh, poor me. You can't blame us. We've got gangs in everywhere. Just be careful what you say. That's like how he's kind of getting famous. As you can see, like within 17 minutes, he lied after lie, one lie and the second line, and then it went on and on, lots of lies. So he doesn't know anything about Islam. He doesn't know anything about Christianity. So now this is the way he's just like getting platforms and then spreading this wonderful Islam.
Going to be a good year, I think.
Oh yeah, this is starting it off this way. Oh boy, we've got so many already just falling apart one after the other. So that was the entirety of the video. It's like 5 seconds left where it just goes off on Elon Musk a little bit more and then makes some more false claims, but I think we'll leave it there. So, what have you guys learned from this wonderful man called Muhammad Hijab, sharing so much of his knowledge with us?
I'll start that dawah guys are completely, utterly, totally compulsive liars, and their fans are the most gullible bunch of morons the world has ever seen. That's what I've learned.
Agreed. They are very much liars. Their lips is moving. They are lying. That's how you kind of assess whether they are lying or not. And they're with their lies, they're able to keep lots of people stuck in Islam. So the good thing is there are lots of Christians out there who are ready to preach the gospel and then take them out of Islam. Otherwise, it's just like he's not only like lying when he breathes out and in, he's lying the moment his lips are moving. He has not learned anything from any of the debates he's done, for any of the readings he's done. He's just like idiot.
Yeah, and it actually has, you get to earn money, with those lies. Like, I received a terrible email that was threatening my life from Michael Jackson's ghost, and I'll expose it this Friday. But make sure you send something to my my Cash App in order for me to do that.
Well, it's not his fault if Jews are not paying him.
See? Come on, yeah, David, you can tell him how he can get paid since you are paid by
you can get paid. Hang on, let me see. What do I got here? So I got it. Oh yeah. I got the shekels right here. What?
They pay shekels.
Hijab. You don't have to lie to get the shekels. Just get on the A team.
Did they make it rain on you, David?
They make it rain. Look at this.
Do it.
Look at this. If I'd have known I'd have done this, I'd have brought way more shekels back from Israel with me so I could make it rain on myself. But yeah, I forgot.
But you would have had to claim it through customs, so that's why you didn't bring it back. You just had them wire it to you. I got you.
Next time, I'm going to bring back a big pile of shekels, and instead of having like Smiles to Jenna, grape me in the mouth like Ali Dawah, I'll have someone standing over and making it rain shekels on me while I'm talking.
Or Shake Your Booty could have some money rain on him.
Shake your booty in the club.
Shake your
so
booty.
I'd say what I've learned from this is no matter what, you're going to get thrown on the bus as soon as it's convenient, no matter who you are. I do appreciate, though, them saying the silent part out loud, considering how many times they said, we respect Jesus. We love him more than Christians do. Well, until it becomes inconvenient, then you're just throwing them under the bus as soon as possible, as well as Allah, as well as Moses, anyone there, just throw them under the bus as quick as possible.
And I just wanted to add to that. Eric, along those lines, this is what Muhammad is actually to them. They claim to respect everyone. They only care about one guy. Everything in their entire religion, everything is just about one guy. They say, oh, but we believe in God. Yeah, but God basically tells you as this religion, your entire universe has to revolve around this one guy. Everyone else is expendable. Throw everyone else under the bus. But they're accusing him of pedophilia because he had sex with a prepubescent little girl. Oh, well, then just throw everyone else that you claim to respect under the bus for this to protect this one guy. They have an entire religion that is where the entire universe, everything in their religion revolves around one guy. He is the star at the middle of their entire universe, and everything revolves around that one guy. This religion is as pagan as you can possibly be. The chief export of Saudi Arabia is paganism, and we can see it every day.
Chief import, sex trafficking
And pedophilia and lying and paganism. It's good exports, Saudi Arabia.
Anyone else want to add their thoughts, or did we already sum it up?
I think we summed it up.
Yeah, the only thing that I would add is that they even lie about Muhammad. So they lie about everyone. They lie about everything. They say whatever.
But they lie to defend Muhammad. They lie to falsely accuse everyone else.
They accuse everyone else. They defend Muhammad, and they lie about Muhammad and what he does to defend him until you get in Islam, and then you're trapped, and they'll kill you if you leave, and then they tell you the truth.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, lie to force you to. Oh, wow, he's this great guy. You get in, and he's like. And you have sex with little kids, and you rape your slaves, and you murder people. And if you leave now, we kill you.
I'm going to say, careful with that I word. You know, the YouTube police be plotting on TCCI.
Do they? Oh, sorry. They usually don't this deep in a stream. It's usually earlier in a stream that they get picky.
I was just going to say, I mean, I don't know how you could fault Muslims for lying about Muhammad. Muhammad lied about Muhammad. So, like, where do you have to go with that?
There you go.
So, Hatun, what do you have coming up here in the next week or so plus?
I don't have my diary. Let me get my diary.
Okay, we'll go on to someone else then.
Pass on to next one. I got the point.
So I am doing a very careful examination of some of the things that the dawah dudes have been saying lately. They've been making a lot of stuff up about this whole rape gang scandal. Again, we are not that far into 2025 for them to already be completely destroying themselves, completely ripping each other to shreds. It's bad. And I've been gathering all the receipts together for everyone to see. And I'm very excited to get this information out there so that people can see just how evil Islam is, just how badly we all need Christ, and hopefully work together to bring people to the true God. So that's what I'm working on. I'm hoping to get it out sometime in the next week, but I don't know, man. Things happen sometimes. God is good. May his will be done.
So, David, what do you got?
Dope videos, ladies and gentlemen. Dope videos. Just made a quick one. I was about to record one on atheism. It's a fun one, but yesterday Patricia Heaton, she was Deborah on Everybody Loves Raymond, was posting some footage of the Hamas jihadis being celebrated and so on, and she tweeted, she said, is it possible for an entire country to be filled with psychopaths? And anyway, I just posted a quick tweet, but lots of people are like, oh, that's interesting, I didn't know that, and so on, because I pointed out that there's this other concept that you don't hear much about, but it's called dissocial psychopaths, and those are people who have basically been trained to act like psychopaths by celebrating the behaviors that are normally associated with being a psychopath, which are normally frowned upon in society, you can actually have a society that cherishes those behaviors and encourages them and says, hey, it's great if everyone acts like this. And you get, those aren't actual psychopaths. They're not born like that. They are trained to behave that way. And so the idea is they behave in exactly the same way psychopaths do, but they don't have the mental disorder. They're just trained to act like that. So anyway, I broke that. I posted a comment, but people thought it was interesting. So I went ahead and recorded a quick video about it and then posted that. So anyway, so I posted that. Anyway, long story short, now another day or two, I will post this atheism video. That's going to be pretty funny.
Cool. Look forward to that. Mary, you got anything?
Yes, one way or another, I'll be streaming tomorrow. Thaddeus keeps canceling on me. So if I am not on Reason Answers channel, I will stream on my own. I want to start a series. If I'm on Reason Answers, I'll be starting a series on the Trinity whenever I'm on his next. And I will be dealing with things about why the Trinity is not just coherent, but necessary for creation and for the kind of world that we have and the kind of God that we have and the kind of universe that the fact that we exist and have consciousness and everything else, like that the Trinity is the only explanation. And I'll be doing it slowly, breaking it down, using and drawing in a lot of very, I think, things that most people haven't heard before, and it should be very digestible. So that is my next series.
Okay. That sounds to be interesting. So, Sister K, I know you don't do videos, so.
Yeah, on my YouTube channel. No, I'm just kidding.
Anything you want to mention before I bounce back to Hatun? Hopefully she's got
in over a week, I should be a part of a stream with Brother John and others that are on this stream about the myth of Andalusian paradise. Other than that, I have not. I mean, usually you can find me in another form of self on Clubhouse. And that's about it. I'm doing rooms regarding Hebrew Israelites, oneness, but it's sporadic. So yeah, that's about it.
So, Hatun, did you check your diary yet?
Yeah.
Dear diary.
One of the YouTube channels Sister K has is called Hatun Racist because she's got black eyebrows. So check that channel out. So what I have is I've got a couple of live streams are coming. I've got Day of Evangelism is coming Friday, as well as I'm doing some discipleship program with some ex-Muslims all the way from Asia, not Pakistan, doesn't have any link with the grooming gangs. This is like normal Asia. So that's what is coming this week.
Interesting. I know I've been hearing a lot about that, so I want to check that out later myself. So for me, later today, in about an hour, so I need to finish making sure he's all set up, I'll be joining Truth Defenders on his new channel, talking about the 800s, the year of the spiritually dead, why there are so many cults coming out of that time frame. Later this week, I'll be doing another reaction video to this gentleman here getting absolutely owned by a random Christian lady walking off the street, which was quite entertaining. And then Saturday, I'll be back again with the Bible versus the Quran. We'll be talking about how to understand it. I'll be joined by a brother there. So, any other final remarks you guys have before we call it a night? Well, at least call it a night until I jump back on with Truth Defenders.
Yeah. One last thing. In case everyone hasn't noticed, the dawah guys are absolutely relentless in their lying. As far as how they deal with people. You see it all the time. Basic low-level manipulation that works on large numbers of people doesn't work on everyone, fortunately. But if you do what they want, they shower you with praise. If you don't do what they want, they heap insults and abuse on you. And their go-to method for any sort of challenge is to lie about it and to relentlessly lie about it. And this has always been the case in Islam, going back to the time of Muhammad. We are fortunately in the age where it is easiest to expose their lies. It is very, very easy right now. However, they, because of technology, are allowed to sort of amplify their lies and spread their lies more rapidly. But it's also much easier for us to expose them now. So we're in kind of a race, ladies and gentlemen. They're in full desperation and panic mode because of the avalanche of apostasy and because of the 2024, the worst year on record they've ever had. They're desperate, but what do they do when they're desperate? They go back to their tried and true methods. So they're going to shower you with even more praise in 2025 if you're on their side. They're going to heap more abuse on you if you don't do what they want in 2025, and they're going to lie more in 2025 because it's as the more desperate they get, the more they go back to their tried and true methods, and that's all they've got. They have no plan B. So the point here is we also have to be relentless in exposing them because they are going to get, their dawah guys are going to do this more. They're going to get more dawah guys. They're going to get more guys shouting their lies from the rooftops. We have to keep pushing and expose every last bit of it. So give them nothing, take from them everything, as Leonidas said.
Well, this year I'm expecting that to be the dawah group to fall apart pretty hard. This to be even worse than the last year. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, we bid you adieu. Thank you for joining us. If you're on my channel, you'll be redirected to the next live stream on Truth Defender's channel. If you're on Hatun's channel, I don't know how she has it set up.
You just go to bed.
Just go to bed, I guess. That's what she said. Just go to bed. The rest of you, come, let's go have a party over on Truth Defender's channel.
Yeah, let's go and watch that. God bless you all. Thank you very much for joining us on this CCI channel as well.
And thank you to all the members. Thank you for contributing and keeping this content going. If you'd like to contribute as well, you can click the join button and share this video. Let us grow closer to Christ together.